Hello, everyone. My name is Satan herself, and I am so excited to bring you another episode of Creature Corner, the GDQ Hotfix show that features games that feature non-human player characters, protagonists, and more. And tonight, we've got a hell of a lineup for you with some incredible indie games that feature hellish or otherwise somewhat, occult settings. We've got Cuphead by Jason coming up here, Jason2890. That's going to be our first one. This is DLC plus base game solo 300%, so that's almost pretty much the entire game in one go by the world record holder. And then we're going to have Super Meat Boy All Light Levels by one of our best friends, Shredberg. That'll be a ton of fun. And then finally, to cap us all off, we have Cult of the Lamb, and that category is going to be a viewer poll between easy and medium by Clockwork Ophelia, who does hold the world record in that medium category at the moment. So chat, you're definitely going to want to stick around to vote in that poll to make sure that you get a say in what category we play. But speaking of play, it is time to shoot our way through Cuphead. Come on, take it away, Jason.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Jason2890, and I'm going to be playing Cuphead for you guys this evening. So, for those of you unfamiliar with Cuphead, it was an indie game released back in 2017, I believe, by Studio MDHR. And the unique thing about this game is it has a 1930s aesthetic to it. So the art style is all 1930s style, has old kind of jazzy music for the soundtrack. It's a great soundtrack, by the way. And every frame of animation in this game was hand-drawn by the developers themselves. So this game took many, many years to create. I'm going to be playing the 300% category for you all. And I know what you're thinking. What does 300% mean? 100%, self-explanatory. 200%, okay, I sort of get it. 300%, what are we talking about now? So the way that it works with Cuphead, whenever you play through the base game, collect all the coins, do everything on regular difficulty, that is 100%. If you go through the base game, complete everything, and beat all the bosses on expert difficulty, that is 200%. And then if you add that all in with completing the DLC and everything the DLC has to offer on expert, then the total for the game file percentage is 300%. You see, I have three 300% files here. We're going to delete one of them. And then I'm going to very quickly set up what's known as the fresh expert glitch, so we don't have to go through the entire game on a regular first to set up, to unlock expert. Because going through the entire game twice would not really be that much fun for a marathon like this. But anyway, in order to do this, you just go to...
It would be a lot of fun, but we don't have time.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit too much time. But yeah, so all you do is just go to a completed file and just move the difficulty over to expert, and then you exit back to the title screen, and whenever you start the new file, it'll already be on expert. So before we start the run, do we have the results of the poll for which character we're going to play as?
Give me just one moment to find that poll. It was Mugman who won.
Okay, fantastic. Mugman is low-key my favorite character, even though he's not who the game is named after. You know the backstory of Cuphead, and Mugman is kind of the responsible of the two brothers. It tries to bail them out of trouble. So we are going to be playing as Mugman today, and I might as well just get into it. So we're going to go start as Mugman, and I'll explain more about the run as we go. So we'll be starting in 3, 2, 1, go. So we're going to just start through the intro. Getting 300% involves, of course, beating all the bosses and collecting all the coins. So in order to collect all the coins, we have to actually go through the tutorial, even though we know how to play the game, but just because there is a coin at the end of the tutorial. So Elder Kettle there just gave us a potion that allows us to shoot, tells us to go, stop the devil, don't trust him. So we're going to go just zip through the tutorial, grab the coin at the end, and then as we're exiting, we're going to quickly exit to map, and that will bring us out to the world map instead of back into Elder Kettle's house. But basically, we are going around Inkwell Isle, and we need to collect these soul contracts on behalf of the devil. We're going to talk to this guy and get some extra coins here, and then we're going to go to the first of 6 run and gun levels. These are the only platforming type levels in the game, and there are 6 of them, and they each have 5 coins, so naturally we have to go through and get all 5 coins on these levels. But most of the game is just a boss rush. You'll just be facing a bunch of bosses and collecting their soul contracts whenever you defeat them.
I think that tutorial section is the only thing in this game I could do even half as good as you. think
Here
that's
we have
it, and then I'm done.
acorn machine there, which we destroyed pretty quickly. Get the final coin here. Some piranha plants a la Super Mario Brothers you see around there. There's a lot of video game references in this game as well. I'll try my best to point them out whenever I see them, but you'll see a lot of stuff that is reminiscent of other games, just because Studio MDHR like to put a lot of Easter eggs in their game. They're obviously inspired by a lot of older games as well, which is why this game is very difficult. It's kind of got a retro difficulty to it. But yeah, that was the first run and gun. We're going to go over down here to the first of 3 mausoleum levels. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the DLC, I recommend sitting tight because we're actually going to be doing the DLC right after this mausoleum. We're going to do that first so we can unlock Miss Chalice as a playable character, and then we're going to use her for the majority of the run because she has 1 extra HP, which means more damage boosting, which is speedrunner's dream. Plus, she's a little more agile as well. She has a double jump and a dodge roll. But these mausoleum levels, your goal is to just protect this urn in the middle from these pink ghosts. And pink objects in this game are parryable, meaning that if you press the jump button while you're on top of them, you'll bounce off of them and you'll defeat these ghosts. And for the most part, these mausoleum levels are basically auto-scrollers. So if you want to fill in the time with anything right now, Satan, we have probably about another 20 or 30 seconds on this level before this is done. There's not much else to explain.
Yeah, no problem. I have a question from chat who is saying they noticed that you didn't get an S rank on that last level. Is it not required for 300%?
Yeah, so that is a misconception that people have about this game. Sometimes they think that getting 300% on the file involves getting all the achievements or getting all S ranks, but that is actually not required. The grade that you get on the levels doesn't matter. What only matters is just you complete them on expert. So we forego getting S and P ranks on all these bosses because it's often faster to just take damage and not worry about that. But here, we just finished the first mausoleum. This person appears and says the legendary chalice has a message for us. So we're going to take this boat to the DLC aisle. And we're going to meet Chef Saltbaker, and he's got another mission for us. He wants to go around this DLC island, which, by the way, the DLC in this game stands for the Delicious Last Course. Obviously. Same letters as DLC. We're going to go through the Miss Chalice tutorial now that we are playing as Miss Chalice, and quickly get another coin there. And then we're going to go into a section of the game known as the King's Leap, because the King's Leap is an area where we'll get a bunch of coins, and we're going to, after getting all these coins, take a trip to the shop to buy all the items that we need for the rest of the run. Now, one unique thing about the King's Leap here is that all of these bosses, you can only defeat them with parries, you cannot shoot them. So, and all these bosses are chess themed, so we're going to do our best to fight all these bosses or all these enemies without shooting at them. These pawns, you have to wait for them to jump down. We're gonna wait here, unfortunately. Okay, there we go.
Nice save.
So there. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said nice save.
Oh, that was quick. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so after each of these bosses, we're going to quick retry here to skip an animation of the king giving us coins, although we still get the coins even though we skip the animation. Then we go into the next boss here. Now, there is new tech that we're going to feature on this boss right away. I'll explain in a second. This is just discovered within the last week or so. But you basically hover over their hitbox instead of bouncing up after the parries. A member of our community figured out how to successfully recreate this.
It looks so cool. I love this.
And you have to hit that boss 20 times to defeat him, and we're able to beat him in just a matter of like 10 to 15 seconds. So it saves a lot of time there, not bouncing up after each hit. And we made quick work of that boss. But yeah, all of these bosses are chess themed. We just faced the pawns and the knight, and now we're against the bishop. The mechanic on this boss is pretty interesting. You have to hit all of these, you have to extinguish all these candles, and then the boss will become pink, which means that you're able to parry him to do the damage here. But these patterns are kind of randomized on the candles, so you have to react pretty quickly to figure out where to go to most efficiently grab these candles. Then he has one more hit left, but we need to collect all these candles now.
Oh, wow.
There we go.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
Say that boss was snuffed out, potentially?
Oh, yes.
The light in their eyes was destroyed?
I always appreciate a good pun.
Excellent.
All right, now moving on to the Rook. This boss is really cool because with Chalice's double jump, you can jump again after parrying an object. So we're going to spend a lot of this time up in the air, just juggling ourselves on these heads so we can bounce the heads into the rook here. So we're probably not going to touch the ground for the rest of this fight. Because you can keep resetting your jump.
Also, I love the rook design. That's why I said ooh at the beginning. I just so creative.
Yeah, and there's so much detail in the backgrounds as well, which is crazy to think because these are levels that are not seen for very long. But they put so much detail into everything in this game.
Also, that spinning castle looks physical. I wonder, did they make the model for that?
They definitely made real models for some of the art in the game. I don't know about that one in particular, because I'm less familiar with the DLC stuff. I haven't looked up in that in a while, but I know for sure on the background for the Grim Matchstick fight, there's like a rotating castle as well. And that was something that they had a physical model for. I think in the end of the Jimmy fight as well. So that fight there with the queen, since that fight just zipped by while I was talking about the other stuff, you have to parry those cannons to shoot cannonballs to hit her because she's in the background there. But that was the final boss of the King's Leap. We got quite a lot of coins. We're going to go take a quick trip to the shop to buy the weapons we need for the run and also buy the broken relic, because part of 300%, which I haven't mentioned yet, is this broken relic, which we end up having to fix, and it turns into a cursed relic, and then we have to uncurse it as part of because that adds to your file percentage to create the divine relic. And it's kind of got a similar mechanic to, I think, like the curse shield from Final Fantasy VI. You have to fight a certain amount of battles with it before it becomes the paladin shield, which is a really good shield. But like the curse shield, the cursed relic gives you a lot of negative status effects. Hold on one moment here. I need to solve this puzzle. Down, left, up.
Puzzles are hard.
Right. Down, left, up. Right. So I think that's 189. I convert the solution to that puzzle into like a numeric code for myself for later, because I'm going to need to enter that in for a graveyard puzzle later in the run. So I need to just keep that in mind. 189. People in chat want to
me helping you would. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if that would make it a co-op speedrun, but chat can help us out.
Chat helps me out all the time in my normal runs, so I'm gonna allow
189 in the chat, please. Keep it coming.
Hopefully, I decoded that correctly.
Fingers crossed.
But yeah,
also,
this boss is
that
a
shot
really
menuing
cool
was
boss.
so smooth. I just wanted to say that. Like,
oh, thanks. Yeah.
Buying the weapon right as you exit the shop is
yeah, that's actually a frame perfect trick. We do that. It saves a few seconds exiting the shop on the same frame that you buy the last item. We're going to do a really cool trick here. It's the only part of the game this is used in. But if you're playing as Miss Chalice, during the screen transition, if you interrupt your fall with your double jump, and then use an EX attack and then dash while your EX is coming out, you get stuck in this roll state where you can just hover over the boss's hitbox and do continuous damage there. It's a really cool tech. It looks really cool. It's not too hard to do.
Looks beautiful. In contrast maybe to the level theme, it's a little slightly gross going into the, the guy's mouth and all.
Moving on to the next boss, we have Mortimer Freeze. You might notice too on the results screen, where it says skill level at the end, there's a chance for all the stars to appear there together instead of appearing one by one. That does save a little bit of time. It's a frame perfect button press, and we call it a star skip. And I got one on that last level, and that saved about 1.5 seconds just from hitting that. Nice. So a lot of little time saves like this. Unfortunately, it's very, very hard to do consistently unless you're really good at mashing or you're really good at timing it, and there's not much of a cue for it. This boss is one of my personal favorites of the DLC, Mortimer Freeze. Quite a really cool progression, just from him turning from a wizard into this snowman that turned into a refrigerator that shoots ice cubes at you. And then there's like a whole final phase that we're going to be seeing soon, where we go up into the air and fight him in the sky. Yeah, we have to climb these platforms now and fight him on these floating platforms in his snowflake form. Luckily, we don't take damage on every boss's hitbox. And this is one of the bosses that we can actually go inside their hitbox to shoot our spread attack, because that does our spread EX attack does more damage than our charge attack. But we can only do that within an enemy's hitbox. Yeah, we made pretty quick work of that boss.
Indeed.
All right, so now we have to do the graveyard puzzle. So I believe the code was 189. We're going to be going the graveyard puzzle, and then I'm entering. You have to interact with the gravestones in the correct order. So looking at this like a number pad, we're going to go 1, 8, 9, and then the middle grave starts to glow there, and then Mugman decides to take a nap. And he has a bad dream.
Nap time. Uh-oh.
So the interesting thing about this is originally this was cut content from the base game. It's supposed to be a phase from the devil fight. And the cool mechanic about this is that the angel and devil switch depending on which one you're looking at. So you kind of use that to your advantage. The angel's attacks cannot hurt you, and only the devil can take damage. So you kind of use that to manipulate which attacks are active at once and which hitbox is active at once. So you can just dodge things while doing damage. Yeah, we made pretty quick work of that boss here, and now our our broken relic is fixed, and now it is the cursed relic. So we're going to be intermittently equipping the cursed relic for certain bosses. We have a specific route for this run, and you'll notice when we equip the cursed relic, we start with 1 HP for that fight, and our weapons will change every single time we either use an EX attack or stop holding the shoot button. So it's very, very tricky. It makes it a lot harder, but we have to do it. So we're going to, for the most part, play the plain bosses for this fight with the cursed for this run with the cursed relic, because those have the least time difference between doing the fight normally and doing it with the cursed relic. Because there's less variance, because there's only two different plane weapons to switch between, so you could kind of manipulate which weapon you get, as opposed to on these types of levels where there's, I can't even remember how many weapons, 10 different weapons for the ground levels. It's a lot easier to control what you're going to get whenever you're playing a plane level as opposed to a ground level, since you're only swapping between 2 weapons. But we're actually going to equip, you'll see what I'm talking about in just a moment here. We're going to equip the cursed relic for the next boss, which is the first plane level of the run here. And it's a doozy. It's a really tough fight. Probably not going to be talking too much during this fight, so if you have some more to add, Satan, you're more than welcome, because I need to focus on this really hard boss.
Yeah, no problem. First of all, chat, are you seeing this? This run is incredible. Jason, you were doing a fantastic job. And second of all, I want to let chat know that your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel to help support Games Done Quick Hotfix. If you enjoy watching speedruns, consider subscribing to the channel to get access to our emotes, have ad-free viewing, and chat with other subscribers during our replay. It really helps us out behind the scenes here.
We're going to quickly restart this. Luckily, it was a death very early in the level, so not too much.
It was very fast. Very, very fast. Yeah, wow, this 1 HP looks absolutely brutal.
Ooh, okay.
Nice.
The good news is you can actually get HP back with the cursed relic if you parry enough things, because the way the cursed relic works, it basically gives you every relic every charm in the game, but like a watered down version of it. And there is a relic in the game that will give you hearts for parries. Normally you get one for every parry, but because the cursed relic is giving us a watered down version of it, we get one for every 3 parries at first until we uncurse the cursed relic a little bit. The more bosses you fight with it, the better it becomes, until it's finally the divine relic, which gives you every charm in the game at once. Really overpowered.
Yeah, no kidding. Here's silly little me, playing the game with 1 charm. Didn't know I could have them all.
We would actually use the divine relic in speedruns, but the unfortunate thing about it is that even when it's the divine relic, it still gives you that randomization of the weapons. So it makes it a little suboptimal, because you don't know which weapons you're going to get stuck with. So even though you have all the charms, you still don't end up saving quite as much time as just playing the game with the weapons that you want. So you don't have to worry about your weapons just changing on you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it is a very cool charm that was added in the DLC.
Nicely done getting through that fight. I could tell just how hard it was watching. Oh my.
Yeah, it's a lot. You definitely, probably the first main gatekeeper of the run, and definitely breathe a sigh of relief after doing that one. This boss next is the Moonshine Mob. This is kind of several mini bosses. There's different phases with each feature a different boss. And I believe this one right here was also, in like the very beta versions of the game, they had a boss very similar to this, and they repurposed him for the DLC, which I thought was pretty nice. They ended up introducing a lot of stuff that they couldn't find a place for in the base game. Now this next boss here, this whole phase is also like another repurposed King Dice mini boss, actually. And then we have to fight the anteater at the end of here with the snail. This is kind of a tricky 1 HP fight here. All right. This is actually a fake knockout screen, which trips people up a lot the first time.
Well, it doesn't look the same. They're cluing you in.
The boss here tries to trick you. It's not even like the main announcer that says knockout. If you listen close, it's a different voice saying it. Mm-hmm. So they did that to throw you off guard while the snail tries to kill you. But luckily, seasoned players don't get fooled by that anymore.
Are you sure? Maybe one of these days.
I mean, occasionally. I'm not going to lie. I have died there before. It's been kind of a while now.
No, I would too. My brain would just go, oh, we're done.
But now that we got all the ingredients from defeating all the bosses on the DLC aisle, we just have to simply give them to Chef Saltbaker and everything should be fine, right? But in a cruel twist of fate, Chef Saltbaker was actually evil, and he used the time we were gathering those ingredients to kidnap Mugman. So now we need to try to save Mugman, because you see Mugman in the background being trapped. He was going to steal Mugman's soul or something. I forget exactly what the lore behind this fight was, but yeah, maybe someone in chat a little more versed in the Cuphead lore can fill us in. But yeah, Chef Saltbaker, turns out he's not that nice of a guy.
That guy, no, the way he looks, no, I would never think that he was evil.
How did we ever not know? The second phase of this fight is really cool. He's huge in the background, but we have to defeat these these pepper shakers rather, and they fly into the background and they hit his face whenever we do enough damage. So we need to kill a certain amount of salt shakers or pepper. I keep saying salt shakers, but they're clearly pepper shakers. They say pepper right on it. But I think the community has basically called them salt shakers for long enough that that's just what their name is at this point. Move on to this third phase here. This fight. By the way, we've been at 1 HP for a while. There's a lot going on right here. So I'm going to probably need to focus for the final phase here.
No worries.
We have to do some platforming while we shoot his heart.
Excellent. I mean, this boss has proven to me that you are worth your salt.
Whew. Okay. Finish it off. Sweating a little bit there.
You did really well under pressure.
Thank you. So that's it for the DLC. We're actually going to head back to the base game now. And the cool thing about this is that since we've unlocked Miss Chalice, we get to use Miss Chalice for the entirety of the base game run. So even if you're familiar with Cuphead speedrunning prior to the DLC, it's going to look like a completely different run now that we are playing as Miss Chalice instead. So the boatman takes us back to Aisle 1, and then we're going to go, after fighting Chef Saltbaker, we're going to have a nice little cooldown with fighting the Root Pack, which is usually the first or second boss that you'd fight in the game. So it's going to feel like a cinch compared to that. Yeah, the Root Pack right here. 3 different bosses that we end up having to fight here. The first, the potato, just spits out things and you just jump over them. And one thing cool that they added with the release of the DLC, or a little bit before the DLC, is secret phases. If you don't shoot the onion just goes away. If you shoot him, he cries, because onions, they cry. But yeah, he just ends up going away. And then we get to go right to final phase with this little radish bouncing around instead, which is an addition to this fight that isn't there normally.
Nothing you can't handle, right?
Yeah. And the reason why we do that, it's actually on expert with this weapon combination. It's quicker to just not fight the onion at all and just have it disappear than it is to actually fight the onion. So ends up saving us a little bit of time over doing that fight normally. And it's also cool because it's secret. It's a secret phase.
True. And that earlier Devil Angel fight, that was secret too, right? Like, that's not something the game advertises.
Yeah, that's not something you would typically find just playing through the game unless you're actually looking for the secret. It's not one of the main parts of that. It's just one of the secrets of the DLC aisle. We're going to try to do a pretty tricky trick here. It's a little bit RNG dependent on whether we get it. But we can get them to phase transition right from first phase into final phase if we do enough damage here during this attack. We did not get the right RNG for it. Sometimes their attack goes a little bit longer and you're able to do enough damage to push them over the threshold that they need to go right to third phase. But we ended up basically skipping second phase anyway, so it ended up bringing us to the final phase here pretty quickly regardless. We have to dodge some coins here, and then we need to parry this arm on the slot machine until it opens up. The slot machine's invulnerable right now, but now that it's open, we're able to do damage here. A lot of tricky dodges there. And there is a bit of RNG involved here as well. Depending on what the slot machine rolls, you have a different attack. This is probably my least favorite attack, but luckily it was right at the end whenever the boss is almost dead. And yeah, we had pretty short work of that boss too.
No kidding. Hey Jason, I just want to ask, when was the world record set for this run?
Yeah, so I didn't mention earlier, but it's funny that you brought that up, Satan herself, because when I was warming up playing this game on stream earlier just to practice for this run, we actually beat the world record by... I had the world record previously, but we improved the world record by 3 seconds earlier today and got the first sub 101.30 for this category.
Big barrier too.
Yeah. Granted, that's a loadless timer, so the time tonight's not going to look that similar to that because we have loads removed whenever we time for official timing for the game. So it is a little bit different than RTA, but yeah, pretty big achievement. Pretty cool to do on the day that we're doing this.
Yeah, no, incredible to world record just before coming on the stream.
Oh, yeah. All right, that's another boss where like that's the original tricky that I'm dead kind of boss right there. Like we saw what Moonshine Mob did before with the fake knockout screen. With Goopy, that's one of the first bosses you ever play whenever you're playing this game initially. And when you see him come down as a gravestone, you're thinking, oh, this fight must be over. But no, the gravestone's trying to kill you too.
Yeah, Cuphead's all about subverting expectations. That's one thing I really love about it, is it really redefined what this genre was and even what game aesthetics could be and how you could integrate them into your gameplay when it came out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's kind of hard to understate just how important Cuphead was when it came out if you were not around.
So you could tell like this entire game was just a labor of love from the developers. You know, they put so much work and so much effort into all the little details just to get things just how they envisioned it, you know? But coming up here, we have what is typically the first plain boss of the run, but obviously we did the other one first because we did the DLC first. But Hildeberg with the Cursed Relic is a pretty difficult fight because, like before, we're down to 1 HP. And she has a few different transformations here. There's a little bit of RNG involved when you do this fight on regular, but on expert, it's always these same transformations that you get. So going through, there we go. We got our third parry. Finally gives us a little bit of breathing room because now we have 2 HP. And then we're going to take Hilda into her final phase in just a moment. Things get a little chaotic toward the end here with all the projectiles.
This is another one I just did not expect at all playing this game the first time.
Such a cool design, too.
Mm-hmm. One of the most memorable, for sure, from the early game for me.
Oh, yeah. These UFOs are colored. The color of the UFO tells you when they're going to shoot. These ones that are a little yellowish will shoot before they get to us, and the red ones will shoot after they're over us, so you could actually go forward past the red ones. So just a little bit of a way to dodge those if you're struggling with that boss.
We're getting tips and tricks here on the GDQ Hotfix. You're playing Cuphead today.
Yeah. Now coming up, we have the second of 6 run and gun levels. We're gonna go get some more coins here on Treetop Trouble. We're gonna switch to Miss Chalice. This level's really fun to speedrun because there's like a whole vertical section here. You'll see it in just a moment. But there's just a lot of like there's a certain path you take to like dodge all these guys. and it's just
Oh,
it's
whoa.
very satisfying to do well.
Clearly, I mean, it looked like you were just phasing through those beaks right there. That was so
Yeah.
cool.
On a slightly later cycle than typical, so I got hit unintended there, but that's okay. Still making quick work of this vertical section. And we're utilizing Alice's dash roll, or dodge roll, because she has invincibility while she's doing that, so we use that to go through enemies in a couple of spots there. And then that boss at the end, you can just jump over. Nice little way to skip.
Oh, I see. Well, that makes me want to go back through this game with the DLC.
Yeah. But the cool thing about all the running guns is that you could actually get a P grade on all of them, P for pacifist, meaning you can beat all the running guns without defeating any enemies. And every running gun has some sort of boss or like boss type thing at the end. So it's helpful to know there's ways to avoid that, because
Right, yeah. If you knew about that, and you would be really confused. So yeah. That's really cool.
This boss is very iconic for this game. I think I have a channel emote for this boss, but yeah, this is very Cagdy Carnation. Love the music for the stage. One thing I don't know if I mentioned before, all the music for this game was recorded live by like actual jazz bands, so it's like that authentic, that really authentic experience of the music. And
whoa, that's really cool.
And the tracks are so long for the music, like it's crazy how much effort they put into it. Because if you ever like listen to the soundtrack for this game, some of these tracks are like 7-10 minutes long, you know? And you wouldn't hear most of these songs, like obviously for a speedrun, you're not hearing most of the song because we're going through levels so quickly. But even on casual play, even if you're first starting out, you're probably only hearing maybe 3-4 minutes of each song, but then they have like double that for the rest of the entire soundtrack. So it's pretty crazy how much the effort they put into the music as well.
It's all effort, all detail. And yeah, I'm seeing that that emote you mentioned in the chat.
Yeah.
Your community is
nice.
showing up for you. It's awesome.
Yeah, we're going, we just finished aisle 1, so we're coming up on aisle 2. King Dice is here. We go through the die house, and he just tells us, oh, yeah, you can go past, you defeated these bosses, blah, blah, blah. Some cutscenes here we're going to skip. Then moving on to aisle 2. Aisle 2, I think, has probably like the best bosses, in my opinion. Like, just their designs. I love the aisle 2 boss designs. And every fight's like feels very different from the other ones. This one, Baroness von Bonbon, she has potentially 5 different minions that she sends out, but you only have to defeat 3 of them. So there's a bit of RNG involved here because some are a little quicker to defeat than others. This boss, okay, we got the quick cycle on the waffle. He didn't attack, so we were able to finish him off pretty quickly. And nice, we avoided the Jawbreaker. The Jawbreaker's not a hard boss, but it's the one minion that takes the longest to die. So we want to avoid that since it has such a long damage animation. And once we finish the 3rd minion, we have to fight Baroness herself. Her castle's coming toward us, but if you just jump in this spot and don't get too close, you don't end up getting hit until she throws her head, which she could damage you with her head when she throws it, but she didn't throw it that time. We killed her a little bit too quickly. Okay.
Although you could say she threw because you knocked her out.
Yeah, she threw by not throwing.
Exactly.
And then we have another running gun coming up here. Funfair Fever. If you listen to the music, it's very reminiscent of Super Mario World. I think it was heavily inspired by the athletic theme from that game. It's a lot of like, it's fun. It's got like the piano in the background. It's overall a very, very nice tune on this level.
It has different associations for me because I remember struggling a lot with this run and gun. So
oh, really?
This music just makes me go, oh no, I'm back.
I'm gonna take a damage boost there to get through that cannon wall a little bit quicker.
Ooh, that's good.
You jump over this guy with Miss Chalice's double jump. Another reason why it's really handy to play as Miss Chalice for a lot of these levels. Her double jump lets you do things that you
maybe the game wasn't as built for, right?
Yeah. So yeah, we finished that one off pretty quickly. Now, the next boss is, in my opinion, the hardest plane fight in the game to do on expert, because the difficulty jump from this boss, Wally Warbles, from regular to expert is insane. Anyone that's familiar with this game, that is, by the way, we got a P rank on that. We didn't defeat any enemies for that level, so it wasn't necessary, but just coincidence. But this boss right here, anyone that's tried to S rank this game knows how hard this boss is. The difficulty spike is just massive. These eggs, there's no safe spot really for whenever they split up. There's so many projectiles that come. You can't just hug the back of the wall like you can on a regular. And there's just a lot going on in the second phase, which you'll be seeing shortly.
And you're going into it with 1 HP at the beginning.
Yeah. Luckily, since we've beaten a few bosses now with the Cursed Relic, we only need to parry twice to get our first HP back, so we already got our first HP, our first extra HP on this boss, so we have a little bit more breathing room now. But yeah, dodging all those feathers, pretty daunting task. And this part's a little tricky. We're gonna shoot some EXs. We actually don't want to get our special move here, because these cards later on for the final phase, you do a lot of damage from shooting those missile EXs right here, because this boss hitbox is so long that they end up doing so much damage because they linger on the boss's hitbox for much longer. We gotta shoot the heart whenever the heart is out, because the heart is the only part that takes damage there. And there we go. Whew. All right. We cooked that boss.
Getting into it. Chat, I encourage you to either add on to our puns or groan.
Yes,
both fuel me.
Or both, you know?
Yeah, or both. Take your pick.
Now here, it's going to look like we're taking a very inefficient path to the next boss, but it's actually part of the routing, because you need to take this shortcut. It's a pretty long shortcut, but you go behind this mountain because there's an NPC that will give you a coin for showing her the shortcut around the island. So we're going to go to do Grim Matchstick next, and this is another iconic boss. And I believe that model in the background, that maybe it's, yeah, that model that you see rotating there was actually a physical model that they filmed for the purpose of putting it into this level.
Whoa, no way.
Yeah.
That's actually so cool. It looks gorgeous.
But yeah, this boss kind of combines platforming with the level itself, which is pretty unique up to this point. Although I guess some of the DLC bosses also have platforming, but for the base game, this is a pretty unique boss. There's a little bit of RNG to these clouds, so sometimes you'll end up getting in situations where you have to really read the clouds ahead of time to know how to react to them. Otherwise, you'll get stuck in some unwinnable situations. Now for the final phase, Grim grows an extra 2 heads. We're going to go right into Grim's hitbox here to finish up this fight as quickly as possible. Whew. All right.
Oh, nice.
We like to play things a little dangerously in this run.
No kidding. Beautiful. Yeah, it's another one I struggled greatly with playing this on the first time. It is amazing to see it just toasted like that.
Yeah, toasted. I think that's probably one of the first big gatekeepers for people playing this game. They get to Grim Matchstick or Beppy the Clown on aisle 2, and they say, geez, this is just way harder than anything the game's thrown at us to this point.
For sure. But it's really satisfying to get it done then.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Coming up here, we have my personal favorite run and gun, and the only one that uses this mechanic that you'll see where you can reverse gravity by parrying these parryables. And you'll notice that we switched off of Miss Chalice for this level in particular, just because it's easy to accidentally parry these cards and switch gravity with Miss Chalice, because her dash functions as her parry. And whenever we're just trying to get through this level as quickly as possible, it's very easy to mistakenly reverse gravity when you don't want to. So we switched back to good old reliable Mugman here just for this level, so we can make sure we only reverse gravity whenever we need to. All right, we got through that one very quickly as well. Whew.
Yeah, very clean.
And then coming up here, we're going to do the second mausoleum level. And the mausoleums, I forgot if I mentioned it before, but they unlock the super arts which you can use if you have all 5 cards, all 5 of your cards in a given level, and they all have different abilities. But we actually don't end up using these super arts. We just beat these mausoleum levels because we have to for the category. But the super arts are generally not a good use of cards for your EX attacks, because you could use 5 EX attacks or 1 super art, and usually the 5 EX attacks, if you do them well enough, will end up with more damage output than the 1 super art.
I'm taking notes.
But yeah, like before, this is... Ooh, that was a little close. A little too close for comfort there. But yeah, this is effectively an auto-scroller. We're just parrying these ghosts as quickly as they appear, and hoping that we don't lose too much time.
Yeah, while you're finishing this up, I'm going to remind chat that this was actually the first run, not this category and not this runner, but for our latest Fatales event, which is a week-long speedrunning event featuring women and femmes. This was our debut run of Frost Fatales 2025. So if you'd like to see that, or if you missed out on any of our hotfix shows or events like Back to Black and, again, Frost Fatales, check out the VODs on youtube.com/gamesdonequick. It was a great run. Definitely something you can queue up after you watch Creature Corner.
Nice. So this is the NPC we were talking about earlier that gives us a coin as her way of saying thanks for us showing the shortcut around the aisle. And now we're going to use the Cursed Relic again for one of my personal favorite bosses, Jimmy the Great. I just love the progression of this fight and the design. I believe that's another model in the background that they have rotating there. Just so much cool detail.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. I really want to know how they made those models. I think this is the only fight I beat in like less than 5 tries, and I remember that very well, being like, oh my gosh, I can play the video game. And then, you know, the next box happens, and I was like, okay. Yeah.
And one thing that you'll notice about this is that there are occasionally parts where there are 2 of these faces that we can destroy, and we're actually going to destroy both of them because even though we don't need to get through, these actually deal damage to the boss's overall health bar, so we want to try to destroy as many of those as possible.
Oh, that's really good to know.
And then we saved our nuke here so we can finish that phase off really quickly.
The little crying face gets me every time I see it.
Yeah. So one thing, you'll see I'm just parrying nothing in the air right now. Since we've started to uncurse the Cursed Relic, we get a hit right there that we just did. You can parry the bosses if you have the Whetstone Charm, and you will get the Whetstone Charm once every 5 hits at this point of the Cursed Relic. So we're going to try to wrap it in just for a little bit of extra damage, but we have to parry 5 times in between hits to get 1 hit. But the damage does add up if you route those into the fight here. It adds up and gives a little bit of extra damage, so it's worth going for. We ended up finishing that boss pretty quickly. Now coming up, the next boss has a very hard trick known as Beppy Glitch, which for those of you that were following this game since the very beginning, Beppy Glitch has been a glitch that people go for and run since the game's release. And the developers, whenever they patched out the weapon swap glitch, probably thought that they fixed this glitch because they didn't do anything to directly fix this glitch, but this glitch is still in the game. But it's just really hard to do enough damage to trigger it. So I'm going to focus hard on the first phase here to see, because there are 11 different patterns that he can do in first phase, and each one needs to be handled a little bit differently. This is a 5-cycle pattern, so we need to wait for the cart to bounce against the wall 4 times before we start doing our damage. Here we go. Now we have to just unload all of our damage here. And this glitch is caused by doing enough damage to force Beppy into his 3rd phase while he's still in his 1st phase, and the game doesn't know how to handle that. So now, once the 2nd phase spawns, Beppy's just going to be stuck in this for the rest of the fight. And so you cut out a lot of time not having to see certain phase transitions, and also this is a very large hitbox, very easy to hit. So now we just do this until the fight's over. There we go.
Wow. Bye-bye, Beppy.
Very tough trick to pull off, but once you know the patterns, it ends up becoming kind of like second nature there.
Absolutely
and that was the last
beautiful.
boss of Aisle 2. We're going to move on to Aisle 3 in just a moment.
This is so fast. Oh my. Chat is loving that, by the way. Everybody is just shocked that that's something that you can do.
It's hard enough to do that on regular, but on expert, it's just a whole other beast to tackle there. That you could say that glitch on the clown is no joke.
Yeah. Or you could say it's a whole different creature also.
True.
The theme of this show. Speaking of creature, we got one here.
This is a pretty cool fight. Remember Honeybottom's first phase is fighting the policeman bee here. Make quick work of him, and then we have to go tackle the queen bee herself. And if we play our cards right here, we can end up doing enough damage to skip the majority of the final phase. We're gonna try to do here. It's hard to do enough damage to skip her before she turns into the plane here. Let's see if I can. I don't know if we have enough damage here. We'll try our best.
I think that's two bosses that aren't actually planes, but plane levels, but still planes.
Oh yeah. We just missed getting the quick kill there, but we made quick work of her in the final phase there. She didn't even finish coming up on the bottom of the screen. There is one trick I'm going to show here. So this is something new added with the DLC, and I believe even if you don't own the DLC, it's still something that you can access from the base game. But if you just spin in circles a few times, you end up getting visited by Game Jimmy, and it ends up giving you double health for the next level that you play. And for run and guns like this in particular, it's really helpful to to use that extra health to damage boost at the end. So that's what we're going to end up doing on this. There's one other spot in the run that we use this. Normally, it does not work at all if you're playing on expert, but run and guns are coded to be on regular difficulty for even if you're playing on expert for all the bosses. So it does work on this. So we're going to use it to our full advantage to get through the ending section a lot quicker. And you'll see what I mean once we get to the ending section about how much time this saves. There's a lot of kind of blind platforming, and if you have the health to get through it without having to worry, ends up speeding things up quite a bit.
And I mean, it takes a sec to activate, so, it makes sense that it would save quite a bit of time. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it.
Exactly.
Also, really good to know as a mechanic.
Yeah. That's definitely something that, if you're struggling in this game, it definitely help you out.
Just spin in circles. Classic advice.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I can see it coming in now.
We could just do this.
And swimming. Beautiful.
Now, we do have two more main plane level bosses that are coming up that we're going to be using the Cursed Relic on. The first is Dr. Cal's robot, and this is another iconic boss of this game. I think probably one of the more recognizables out of the bosses. And it's definitely another boss that probably made some people quit the game because of how difficult the final phase is here. It's just your prototypical bullet hell, and there's nothing really quite to that extreme that the game's thrown at you to this point.
My gamer confession is that this is the first level I have not completed in this game. I haven't actually finished.
See? What did I say? It's definitely a reason to stop players right here.
I really hope I'm not done with this game forever. I intend to come back to it.
Well, hopefully some of these tricks that you learn will give you a little bit more motivation,
Exactly. I'm taking notes.
All right, we're going to just use our nuke attack on this. Yeah, so this is the part that gives people, this scream's probably shown up in people's nightmares because of how repetitive it is. Obviously, some heavy Dr. Wily vibes for this boss.
For sure.
Luckily, we have some extra HP here.
I love all the characters.
so I'm going to be going in for some damage boost whenever it's necessary. Taking advantage of our iframes a bit there. All right.
Nice.
Whew. Another boss that you kind of have to breathe a sigh of relief after beating. Because it's hard enough to do that boss normally, but then with the Cursed Relic throwing you down to 1 HP right at the beginning of the fight, it's definitely a tricky one.
Cursed Relic really is the type of thing that Cuphead would do. Be like, do you want to feel more pain? Maybe it'll be better for you. I don't know.
We're up to Werner Werman. So the old route for this category used to actually use the Cursed Relic on this boss instead of Esther, because Esther is just such a difficult boss on the DLC aisle to throw the Cursed Relic at you. But whenever you compare the times, it is slightly faster to use the relic on the Cursed Relic on Esther instead, because you can just shred through this boss so quickly with your normal weapons that the time save's too hard to pass up.
Speaking of, I saw a question in chat earlier about how much optimization you think that is still left in this category for y'all to do.
For the speedrun itself, it could probably go down realistically another 20 to 30 seconds if I had to guess, with the current strategies, just from having
That's all?
more attempts. Yeah, it's really tricky because there's so much variance in runs just due to RNG, and also stuff like star skips on every result screen that really can go either way, like frame perfect tricks for like 20 result screens to save potentially 30 seconds. It's just not feasible to get too many of them in a run. And we're already the category's already for an hour plus long category, we're about 2.5 minutes off the community sum of best already with the current world record.
Wow.
So it's getting to the point where there's not too much time saved with the current strategies, but you never know, new stuff could be discovered. We have
there was that one strat, exactly, that was just discovered a week ago, earlier in the run.
And that saves, not only does it make things a little more consistent, but it also, lowered the best possible time by another 5 seconds.
Which is really big considering you just said you're not far off the community sum of best.
This boss is pretty straightforward. I think, honestly, that this boss feels a little out of place on Aisle 3. A lot of people think that this boss, too, is just a little bit less difficult than the other bosses here, which is fine. It's nice to have a little bit of a breath of fresh air. I don't know what I'm trying to say right now. But, it's nice to not be sweating the entire time during a fight.
Yeah, I mean, you get a win, and it kind of keeps propelling you through the game, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, coming up, we're going to do the last run and gun. We're also going to use that Jimmy trick again. You could use it up to 3 times in one run through the game until you beat the game. Once you beat the game, you could activate it as many times as you want. But we're going to be using that because there's a trick we can do at the end of this level to skip the entire ending. Normally there's an auto scroller at the end of this level on top of this octopus that you parry. But because we do this Jimmy trick to give us double the health, we're actually able to just damage boost through that entire section without having to wait for the octopus at all. So we basically skip the auto scroller. And one interesting fact about this level is that there was a trick that nobody discovered in the speedrunning community until TMR was running this game for the first time back in, I forget which AGDQ it was, but it was maybe 2018. The developers actually reached out to TMR and told him about a trick on this level that if you shoot the octopus, it speeds up at the end, and no one thought to do that.
Oh.
No one in the speedrunning community. Of course, now we have this strat where we just skip the octopus entirely, but it's pretty cool to have the developers of the game themselves reach out to tell us about speedrunning tech that we didn't discover yet.
Whoa, that's really cool, actually.
Yeah. I've never heard of that happening in any other game where the game devs are just oh, by the way, you could be doing this part a little faster if you do this.
This is what we love about indie devs. This is one reason I was so excited about the show tonight, is because all of the games that we have on tonight for Creature Corner are indie games, and there's just so much life and love that gets put into these projects, and you can really just feel it watching these games.
Now we're moving on to another iconic boss and the last Cursed Relic boss of the run. So if we get through this unscathed, we'll be completely done with all the Cursed Relic stuff. We're going to make this fight as dangerous as possible because now with the Cursed Relic being almost completely uncursed, we're able to get a Whetstone hit to do extra damage every other parry. So we'd be silly not to go for it, all the extra damage that we can get out of it. So we're going to be staying very close to Calamaria here and using that as often as possible, just to get every last bit of extra damage. Of course, we do have to dodge a little bit for this attack. This is another boss that often gets people stuck, although there is some cool tech that I'm going to be showing later for Final Phase that makes it a bit easier for people in a casual playthrough to get through it. Because you'll see we get hit by a stone gaze there, and it turns us into the stone, and then we're not able to move for a few seconds until you shake your way out of it. But for Final Phase, she has the ability to turn you to stone, but if you stay very close to her face, that stone gaze just goes right past you.
Oh,
wow. She ends up shooting it a little bit past where your hitbox is, so then you end up just not having to dodge that at all. So that obviously helps a little bit here. So then all you have to do is dodge these little spike walls that appear. So if you're stuck on that boss and the Final Phase is giving you a lot of trouble, give that a try. Instead of staying farther away, just stay as close as possible. Counterintuitive, but
true
trust me,
speedrunner advice. Yeah. Oh, Starscript.
Oh yeah,
I like seeing him.
It was nice little time save there.
Excellent. I feel like all the little new things that we're learning during this speedrun gives me a little bit of an out-of-the-box vibe. That was the show that was on before this show, by the way,
nice.
Where it's all about kind of speedruns that can be done just booting up the game and going. And there's an emphasis on kind of being like a bit of a learning session with the audience. So if you want to check that out. Cool. That's going to be on YouTube at Games Done Quick on YouTube in about a week.
Now, one thing we're going to do with this fight, there's actually a very difficult glitch here that saved us quite a lot of time, and it's something that was not done in earlier versions of the game because it involves, I'm going to go retry, I messed it up right there. It involves, like, they added a secret phase to this fight. If you lower these angels on the top left and top right, you end up basically giving you an alternate path for this boss. You have a different second, third, and fourth phase where that thing in the background falls on Sally's fiance, and then kind of shifts the path of this fight. But if we trigger that secret phase at the same time that we defeat her first phase normally, you end up skipping the second phase entirely, which saves us quite a bit of time. Like, it's actually worth it to retry this fight if you miss it, because it's something like a 20-second time save.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because there's a lot of downtime in this fight if you have to go through second phase, because there's a whole bunch of like time where it's setting up that phase and showing the whole like phase transition animation before and after second phase. So being able to skip that just saves a lot of extra time. All right, and moving on, the last boss of Aisle 3, Phantom Express. This always gives me like Final Fantasy VI vibes, like the train that you suplex. And I don't know, this boss is just, it's pretty cool how this, like every boss in this game is pretty different. And the way that this boss is set up too, is like every phase is a different part of the train with a different boss. And different attack mechanics.
I love the idea of a skeleton train. Just, they're so creative. How do you even come up with this?
Yeah. All right, moving on to the twins phase here to defeat both of these. All right. Be a little tricky going into final phase here with 1 HP, but we'll do our best. Ooh, okay, a little dangerous there. We pulled it off. a lot of flames to dodge there. Whenever you have to parry the engine to open it up to be vulnerable, but then when it's open, it's shooting these flames at you, so there's a lot to dodge while you're trying to do that damage there. And ideally, you want to try to one cycle it like we did there, because it closes after a little bit, and then you have to do the whole thing again. So, okay, we are done with the first 4 aisles. All we have left is Inkwell Hell, except we have to go back to the shop. As part of the 300% category, we need to buy all of the remaining items, all the weapons and charms. So we need to get this last coin here, because you have just enough coins to be able to buy everything in the game. So there's one hidden coin there, and then we have to go double back to the shop. Now, one thing to keep in mind, and some people in chat might even point it out if they're more familiar with the game, you don't actually have to buy the weapons and charms to get 300% on the file. The file percent doesn't actually change from buying the items, it just changes whenever you gather the coins. So theoretically, you could gather all the coins and not buy anything, and you could still get 300%. But because this is a completionist category, we have a few additional requirements beyond just getting 300% on the file. So we do need to buy all the items, and then in addition to that, we're going to be doing the King Dice fight next after this mausoleum. The last mausoleum is right here. And part of the rules to this category entail us defeating all 9 King Dice mini-bosses, although normally you could just roll the dice and then not have to fight 6 of them. You could just fight 3 of the mini-bosses, but because the names of the King Dice mini-bosses are added to the checklist, we decided to include it as part of the 300% category, even though it's, once again, not something that actually impacts the file percentage, but it's cool to do, and it definitely makes this kind of like an epic conclusion to this category, where you have to fight every single mini-boss as part of that big gauntlet, and then you have to fight the devil himself. So, really cool end to the run.
That's really interesting, because we were talking a little bit earlier about how the ranks don't affect the 300%. We have a category in this game that does include the ranks?
Yeah, there is a separate category called All S plus P grades, and that's similar to this category, except without... Well, okay, so there are like 2 categories. There's All S and P grades, which is just doing all the bosses and the running guns and getting all S ranks and all P ranks. But then there's another category that TMR, the Mexican runner, made himself called Hater Percent, where you have to not only go through and do all the bosses on Expert, but you have to do it all with just the base weapon, and you also have to get all S and P grades on all the levels. And it's basically the category for masochists, for people that just want to punish themselves by playing the game under the hardest conditions as possible. And that's a lot of fun to run, or it's a lot of fun to watch, but I wouldn't say it's that fun to run. It's actually very, very, very stressful to run, as someone that used to run that category myself. But it is a really cool watch, and it's a really cool take on like a completionist category, just because I believe he named it that because there were a lot of haters in the YouTube comments saying like, hey, you're only able to do this because you're using all these weapons. It's like, okay, I'll do it without all these weapons. I'll just use the base weapon and I'll still do everything.
Prove them wrong percent.
Yep.
Love that.
Hater percent to make all the haters stop.
Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure if I've seen all of the King Dice bosses be fought before. This is really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot that we don't ever see on typical runs because they're just... not ones that we want to play because they're so long, and skipping them is definitely ideal. So yeah, you'll probably be seeing some new faces here, and maybe an old face. The boss number 9, which we'll get to later, is the monkey, where you have to play like a match game, and there used to be a glitch in the first version of the game where you could just match the cards wrong and have the monkey just fly off screen and automatically die. So that used to be the boss of choice for early versions of the game. But then when they patched that glitch out, we just didn't do the monkey anymore because it's such a long fight. Why would you want to do it? But because we do everything in this category, we are going to be visiting the monkey again and giving him his, giving him his due, giving him a little bit of spotlight that he hasn't seen in years.
Return to monkey.
So you'll notice I actually have 5 HP now instead of 4 HP that we started with. Above some of these numbers, there's hearts, and if you roll that boss, you end up getting an additional heart, which is really useful when we're doing all 9 of these bosses in a row. And there will always be 3 hearts on the boss, so we will get all 3 of the hearts eventually. But the bosses that they're on, there's a bit of RNG involved. You can damage boost through the cigar and just go right behind it, and makes things a lot safer, although you do have to do that at the cost of a damage. So we're already down to 2 HP, which is not ideal. Took a little bit more damage than we would have liked, so we're going to have to probably play a little bit cautiously on the upcoming bosses to make sure that we are able to get through this without a reset, but we'll do our best.
I believe in you.
Good day for us. Well done.
And all these bosses are just really, really cool designs. We're in, like, effectively the Devil's Casino. Like, that's this whole area in Guahel that we're in. So you'll see a lot of the bosses are centered around casino-related things. So we're fighting against Domino's right now. And we played against Cigar, you know, because you were able to smoke in casinos back in the old days. Maybe you still can in some, I don't know.
I've been to Vegas, and I can tell you, you can.
Okay, there you go.
You can.
But then you got the poker chips, and then we just, the first boss was 3 glasses of alcohol, the Tipsy Troop. And what would Vegas be without magic shows? So we got a bunny here coming out of the hat. This is another really cool boss. The mechanic for this fight was not really intended for Chalice, because it's really hard to parry those parryables whenever they're all flying at you from the top or bottom of the screen. Like, this is going to be really hard to not get hit on. They unfortunately did not make this Chalice friendly, although it is really nice to have Miss Chalice for these skulls, because you can dodge roll out of this. Alright, we're able to beat that monkey. But yeah, because Chalice parries horizontally with her dash, it makes it really hard to get the one parryable whenever there's those rows of hearts from the top or bottom of the screen that fly at you. It's definitely more suited for Cuphead or Mugman to play that specific boss.
That makes sense. But yeah, Chalice is just overall the better pick still.
Yeah, it's definitely not worth switching off Chalice just for that one fight. We got some horse racing with horses that are definitely still alive, right? And not just skeletons.
It looks like an alive horse to me. Have I seen a horse? Questionable. Remains to be seen. That brings me to one of the reasons I wanted this game for this show. While, of course, I don't think you could call Cuphead, Mugman, or Miss Chalice humans in the traditional sense. Cuphead is just littered with all these amazing character designs, and they are very creature-y. Like, everything is so imaginative, and that's one thing I just love about games that feature non-human characters. They can just let their imagination run wild.
I don't think there's a single human in this entire game.
I don't think so either. It's perfect.
This boss is a Piruletta. She's a roulette table, but also a ballerina doing some pirouettes.
That's so, that's another inspired design. Like, this is perfect.
All right, we got 2 bosses left to go. We still held on to our 2 HP from before, so we're looking okay right now.
Also, the chat is correcting us. There are
that's
potentially
true.
some
Sally
human
and
characters.
Briny. I completely
Sally
forgot.
and Briny. Yep. Well, can't have it all, can you?
Yeah.
You know what? Seeing the 8-ball thing makes up for all that.
Yeah.
I love this design. It is unhinged.
This one is not being confused with a human, that's for sure.
No.
Okay. I like to do a little trick for this boss. For the monkey, you have to match 8 pairs of cards, and every time you match a pair of cards, you get like a damage phase. And I used to do this fight just by memory, and it's good. Like, I got pretty good at it, but if you just take a picture of the screen, it makes it a lot easier to memorize these cards. So that ends up being the speedrun strat for this, is just taking a picture and then referencing that while you do this fight, because it's so much more reliable than your memory. Especially, you know, I'm getting a little older. Ends up being a little easier for me, for the older folk, you know?
I mean, I still think that regardless, no matter what, that is a very good accessibility tool and just, yeah, faster, more reliable.
Yeah.
Also, I do love this monkey. I want this monkey. I want a little toy.
I wonder if there's a plushie of it, because it seems like something that there'd be merch for, you know?
It does. I would love a plushie of that old monkey. Speaking of merch, actually, chat, did you know that we partnered with the Yeti and that we have a brand new sticker that was just released on the Yeti store that features Coop, which is our Hotfix mascot. She's a little Triceratops. They're so cute. And the new sticker is just adorable. So if you want to check that out, go to theyeti.com and search Games Done Quick.
All right, now we have to fight King Dice himself after defeating all these mini-bosses. And one thing they actually added here that does help for Chalice is there's these little hearts that come off the cards that only appear whenever you're playing as Miss Chalice, and that makes it so that you're able to actually parry those. Because otherwise, I don't know how you do that fight with Miss Chalice to parry those cards with her horizontal
Yeah, that
dash.
makes sense. Yeah, no, it just wouldn't work.
So it's a nice little detail that the developers did add for that boss to accommodate Chalice. But then rounding out the run, we are going to move on to the Devil. And the Devil's going to ask if we want to hand over the contracts. And let me tell all the kids out there, and all the adults too, just say no to the Devil. We're going to say no.
You did not do that. I hate to inform you. You said yes to me to be on this show.
Well, I said yes to you. Yes, that's true. I did say yes to Satan herself for participating in this. But, so, okay. I guess there are exceptions to every rule, you know?
Yeah, every rule. But yes, good general advice.
Yeah, we're going to do our best to make quick work of the Devil and free everyone's souls. We actually do a little pause buffer there because normally there's a little animation that plays at the beginning of that phase whenever Cuphead or Mugman or Miss Chalice sees this giant devil in the background. It's like a little shock thing that plays. But we do a quick pause buffer and an EX attack there just to free up ourselves from the movement. Time's going to be coming up very soon, by the way, after the knockout for this screen.
I was just about to say I'm feeling time coming up.
Yeah, and that's time.
GG! Fantastic.
Thank you. I'm going to go through the file just so everyone can see afterwards. We'll go through the ending, and we'll just go through back into the file just so you can see what a completed file looks like for 300%. We got to make sure we got 300%, right? So
we got to verify it.
Yep. So at the end, you know, Cuphead and Mugman, they saved the day. They beat up the devil. They tore up all the soul contracts, burned them all, and the residents of Inkwell Isle were all saved. They're all free from the devil's debt. And Cuphead and Mugman were the heroes. And then it's the end of the story. So we'll go through really quick back to the title screen. Also want to just give a shout out to the Cuphead speedrunning community. If you enjoyed this run and you want to get into Cuphead speedrunning, we love having new members there. There's a lot of helpful people. We're all there. A lot of resources to get started too. If you go to speedrun.com/Cuphead, there's a link to the Discord there. But yeah, we started on this middle file here. And as you'll see, 300%. We have 200% for the main game, 100% for the DLC. We'll go into the file just to confirm everything. But yeah, you'll see we have all the weapons unlocked and purchased. All 3 super arts, even though we didn't equip any of them. All the charms. The Cursed Relic is now the Divine Relic. And the contract list, checklist shows all the bosses completed. Even for all the King Dice mini bosses, they all show up there under King Dice. So that is a 300% run. I hope you all enjoyed that. And yeah,
it was fantastic. What a great time.
So I hope you guys all enjoy the rest of the show, and thanks so much for having me tonight, Satan.
Of course, and where can the viewers find you if they'd like to see more of what you do?
If you want to see more of this, definitely check me out on twitch.tv/Jason2890. I'm still grinding this category, trying to push it down as far as possible. And then if you want to check youtube.com/Jason2890 as well, you can see my videos of all my PBs and other speedruns, because I do speedrun other games besides this. So feel free to check it out, and thanks so much.
Thank you so much for being here. That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you for kicking off our episode of Creature Corner. And we have coming up soon, Super Meat Boy All Light Levels by none other than Shredberg. So if you want to see that 2D hell games, indie games, action continue, with some precise platforming to boot. You're gonna just have to stick around while we take a little break. See you soon. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Creature Corner, the show on GDQ Hotfix that features games that feature non-human characters. Coming up here, we've got all light levels of Super Meat Boy by Shredberg, but just in case you were loving Creature Corner and you want to check out the rest of our Hotfix lineup, we have tons of shows that run all the time. So go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix to check out this season's lineup and check out the schedule for an in-depth look at this week's runs. We've got stuff almost every day of the week here on the GDQ channel, not just for our main events and all that stuff. So, without further ado, it's time to meet Boy Shredberg.
All right, what's up, everybody? Yeah, I'm Shredberg. Thanks for the introduction. This is Super Meat Boy. Here's how to play it. We're gonna play as Meat Boy. We don't want to hit the saws. That's gonna kill us. We're gonna try to save Bandage Girl. That makes us happy. The third thing is irrelevant for this category. So let's just go ahead and get started. We're gonna go in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, this is a 2D platformer where we play as Meat Boy. He is good at two things, really, running and jumping. And so that's what we're going to be doing pretty much the whole time. But there's a lot of stuff that goes into it as well. You're going to see me like pause like I did right there every so often. And this is a thing called auto jump. That's going to let me jump every single possible frame. And the thing about that is you might think that's like even the TAS uses it, right? Because if you think about how a human jumps, you have to press the jump button, let go, then press again. So, you're only jumping 2 times in 3 frames, but you can actually jump, again, literally every single potential jump you're going to do it. So I'm incredibly fast, going to use it to jump up walls or do something like this, which did a thing called storage jump, where I essentially jumped off of the air. I'll explain that more in depth a little bit later, but it's a frame perfect jump that is made not frame perfect by using auto jump. But again, we're going to be going through running and jumping through every single level. This is all light levels, and as the name might imply, we're going to be going through all of a certain type of level. This game has 2 types of levels, light levels and dark levels. The dark levels are unlocked by beating a light level under a certain amount of time. Technically, hopefully, we should be getting all of those and unlocking them, but we're not going to play them, or else it'd be all dark levels, which is a banger category, but that's not what we're playing today. So we're going to go through all 20 levels. Like in any percent, we just have to do 17 to unlock the boss. But here, we're not going to chicken out and, skip one of the levels. We're going to play all 20. And by one of the levels, I mean, we're not going to skip 3. Because then you only need 17. This is the first boss. This is Little Slugger. This is essentially an auto-scroller. Once you know how to do it, it's pretty easy. Once every little bit you take a death to it and then you feel really bad, but it's the beginning of the run, so you only lost 2 minutes, so it's not that big of a deal, but you still feel a little bit bad. I always say it, but the song on there, really good song, but we don't get to hear the best part of the song. We get to hear the lead up to the best part of the song, but is what it is. There's going to be 7 chapters in this. 6 of them have 20 levels. In the first 6 have bosses. Each chapter is going to get progressively more difficult. Technically, that's not true. The 4th chapter is the hardest, but casually speaking, it gets more difficult. This is Hospital. It's going to add in some new mechanics. They're going to have the needles there. There's also going to be these fans. I'm going to try to jump off the corner here, and so that's going to make me save a little bit of time because I don't have to do a wall jump over to the left. But yeah, these fans can be tricky. Like this one right here, you want to get just right so you can go right into Bandage Girl, which I sort of did there. Probably lost 0.2, 0.3 seconds compared to what I would call perfect on that one. And those 0.2, 0.3 seconds is sort of the name of the game. For Meat Boy, you are looking to save in the tenths of seconds every single time. And the game is so precise that you're just you're not going to get that on every single level. So overall, there's something like, what is it? 125 regular levels and then 6 bosses. So 131 levels in this run. There is a ton of time save that a lot of it is just through these sort of like micro time saves where you're talking about like saving on average. If you can do something to save you 0.1 second on average, it's a huge one. Even because all of that adds up over the 100 plus levels you're doing in the run. Right here is one where I am going to be using storage, what I said earlier. So notice how I ended on the wall and then I started that level. I used auto jump and then it's as if I jumped off of the wall. What that does is when you finish a level, your last position, whether or not that's the ground or the wall, that is stored. So right here, I'm on the wall. I'm going to do it and then I immediately basically jump off of what would be the wall. And so that is stored for movement on the very first frame of the game. So you can do a storage jump without using auto jump, but what's nice about using auto jump is you can basically buffer the auto jump before Meat Boy gets movement, and because of that, it's no longer frame perfect. You probably have like a little bit over 1/10 of a second to set up the auto jump. I'm gonna go for like a oh nice, we got it. That skip right there is like extremely precise in a way that's really annoying and does not really save time to go for. But we got a sub 8/220, so that's pretty huge.
Wow.
This is the second boss, Chad. So this has a little skip in it, but it's kind of difficult to explain it quick enough. But essentially this screen wants to stop scrolling. So if we grab this key fast enough, it's not going to. Oh, whoops, that's fine. And then we're gonna grab this key. We have to wait 1 second here until the screen stops scrolling to grab that key. If we don't, and the screen doesn't stop scrolling, what ends up happening is the animation of Chad going back and forth before the level ends goes really, really slowly. So you actually have to wait there a certain amount of time. So sadly, it's not necessarily like 100% predetermined how long it takes, but going faster is not better. Here's like a really, oh, whoops, I missed it. Well, if I got auto jump there, it would have been a really obvious one of how storage jump works, because Meat Boy actually, if you pay attention, starts a little bit off of the ground on each level. And that's what allows you to do it. Because if Meat Boy was on the ground, you would just jump off of the ground each time. Rather than, off of the wall, or, when we are jumping using storage to jump off the ground, normally that is done to get a little bit more height. If you're jumping straight up, right, it's just a faster way to, get your height basically. Here I'm going to go for a frame perfect trick. Let's see if I can get it right here. No, oh dang. All right, it's going to be slow. That one's one where there's a thing called slides in this game, and when you jump off of a wall, you expect your character to jump, horizontally out. But what can happen is if you do a frame perfect input, you can slide up the wall, which is exactly what it sounds. Is instead of getting any horizontal speed, it's just all vertical speed. And on that level, it saves you like 2 seconds. I had to go around and go use that other conveyor in the middle. That's like 2, 3. That's actually 3 seconds slower than getting the slide. There's like another strat where you can still skip it, and that's only about 2 seconds faster. But it is frame perfect. The thing is though, is that strat specifically like taught me that it's actually, before I started speedrunning, whenever I heard people say like frame perfect stuff, I was like, wow, how do people get that? That's like impossible. But it turns out if you just play a game for like 2,000 hours, it's not even that hard to get frame perfect stuff. I get it like 2/3 of the time, I would say. So
it's amazing
if you're ever wondering how to
good
get
our muscles and brains and bodies can be at timing. It's really fantastic.
Yeah. You just got to stick with it, Just got to practice every day. This is mono skip here. This is one of these skips that's like a pretty, what I'd call intermediate skip, where it's like when you start going for like an any percent sub 20, and I guess in this category it'd be like a sub 30 or sub 32 or so, really got to go for, saves a really good amount of time. And on this one, there's this little opening that we're going to try to get into and missed it. I was jumped a little bit too high up there, so it missed it. But now I have to wait for these lock blocks. But normally you just like auto jump and squeeze into a little thing. Saves about 6 seconds. Pretty big amount of time save. At least I got mono skip. Pretty much all of the other big skips in here I missed. I did get bend skip, the one where I went under a saw blade, but that one's easy. That's a fun one to try at home. It was the 12th or 13th level on it, I forget. Oh, and this is, speaking of skips though, this is Brownie. This is supposed to be like a 30-second long platforming level where you race Brownie, but you can actually go and squeeze across the edge there and skip that whole thing.
Whoa.
What's supposed to happen is on the edge of a screen, there's supposed to be a kill plane. And when you jump off of a wall, normally you would go and hit that death plane and you die. But we do something called a sprint jump. And I'll explain it more a little bit later, but essentially it keeps us closer to a wall. But before I explain that, this is hell. This is the hardest chapter, largely because it has like the highest difficulty skips in the game. You'll see that really in the 4th and 7th level, but there's tough ones like the whole chapter. It is really difficult, but it starts off with a little easy ones just to sort of like get you going. But the first one of these really tough skips is hex skip, which there's basically a really precise skip right here at the end of the level. You'll see it where you got to jump and like lose height. We got it there first
That
try.
was
Let's
beautiful.
go. Pretty huge.
It was really hard.
Yeah. Then we got, after this level, we got really one of the hardest like strats that's done in like a RTA run. Let's see. Almost. Let's try to. Oh, well, that's not it. Yeah. Hit the center thing. Give it a couple more tries here. One more try, and I'll just baby it out. There we go. Easy
Nice.
strat.
There you go.
I think that one's pretty self-explanatory on why it's so difficult. It's like, you know, the jumps between those saw blades are as precise as they look, and then you're falling down, and you need to fall down very quickly. You don't, when you drag on touch the wall when you're falling, you do have a lower acceleration value, so you don't want to be on the wall. You want to fall quickly so that you still have time to jump in between that saw blade. And yeah, it's really difficult. That is one where I curse whoever the first person who did that in a full game run, because it is brutal, especially because it is like halfway into a run, to where it's enough to where like you're on a good pace, and then you just go to that and you'll die to it 3 times. And it's like, well, what can you do? This chapter in general just has a bunch of different skips. Oh, the eyeballs in here can disappear only on the Linux version. If you play on PC, you're probably like, wait, why did that eyeball just disappear? And it's because I play on Linux, and I don't know why it disappears. I don't know. Sometimes they do. I think it has something to do with like it trying to change directions, and sometimes it messes up, and so it gets rid of the asset instead of like crashing the game. I don't know. That's just a theory. I have no idea.
It's a theory.
But it can help you save some time on that level. Both of those eyeballs can even disappear, and they can both disappear at the beginning of it, and that saves you a ton of time. That has been one where like you don't even have to go very fast, and you can get what is like on the leaderboards, the IL world record, very easy. But I feel like it's kind of cheating, but other people don't even really, I asked it before it was against the rules, and I was like, I asked it, and I was immediately like, I hope this doesn't turn into leaderboard discourse. I don't mean it like that. I was just wondering. Reminder to never do leaderboard discourse. It's bad for you. All right, this is the one of my favorite bosses. This is Little Horn, a very, very, very easy boss. It's going to do some slamming of its fists down, and we just have to jump 3 times, and that's it. This next phase, it's going to slam down 4 times. I'm going to show a cool little thing that you might, you might have seen if you've seen me play this game before, like a run in this. I think I've shown it off a few times now. But you can do this thing. It's similar to like a timer glitch, like a pause glitch here, where you go to exit game and then you say, nope, I don't want to exit game, and then you wait in the pause menu. in the background, animations will happen, and the boss animation can still happen, and it'll swing its fist across Meat Boy, but because you're paused, the game's not doing any sort of hit detection. You end it, and then you're safe. The thing is, not fast. That is slow. That's lost me however much time I was like, it took to set it up, so it's not worth it for a speedrun thing. It's not even particularly like safer or anything. It's probably less safe, but it's fun. It's cool looking, I think.
Which is, it counts for a lot.
That's right. Now we are in Rapture. This is where the levels just get really long. Well, really long, like relatively speaking. This level is 13 seconds long, which is, I think the longest. No, there's like a auto scrollers will be a little bit longer before this, but like the levels start getting notably long. Where and things like hell, if you die on some of those skips, it's fine. You lose 3 seconds. It's okay. The world record even, I think, has 1 or 2 deaths. It definitely has a death. I don't know if it's 2. What you're doing is you're trying to save so much time by being as fast as possible that you can make some mistakes. Not only can you make mistakes, but you will make mistakes. The issue with Rapture is that a lot of the times the mistakes you make can lose you a lot of time. So that is really probably the toughest part of Rapture, is you just got to make sure the mistakes you make are not ones you lose time in. Relatively speaking, it's probably easier than the 2 chapters before, because Salt Factory has a bunch of pretty precise skips, but not that hard. Nothing like Hell, which has very, very tough strats all the way throughout it. This, I can't really think of a level where I'm like, oh my goodness, stressing about that one. I guess maybe 511, got BIM skip, I guess maybe. But that one's not that bad. It's also not, I was just saying how you want it to happen at the beginning of a level. That one is at the beginning of the level. But yeah, there's these abomination little Meat Boy guys. These guys have some RNG to them. So that little wall jump that I just did is a little bit of like it's not RNG manipulation, but it does make it to where those guys will either chase you. Well, they'll chase you, and they also, when they're chasing you, can jump. And so what I want to do is make sure that guy gets underneath like a little ledge. That way it doesn't jump behind a wall. This is Fim Skip right here. It's called Fim Skip because I was like, oh, I think I found a way to make it easier. And Fim was like, it's not even that bad. And he was kind of right on that one, but I just called it Fim Skip ever since. So shout out to Fims. Very fun skip, but is kind of like when you are on PB pace and you're like stressed out a little bit, that strat is a lot harder feeling, I think. Because once you're here, technically you don't even have that good of a chance to PB, even if you're on like the best pace of your life. But we'll get into why in just a few seconds here. Whoa, dang, didn't want to land on that little ledge. I wanted to land right here next to those maggots. Here is a fun skip. This is another one where you can do at home. You don't even, I use auto jump to make it like super safe. You don't even really need auto jump. It's just like, you probably only have like 2-3 frames. It's worth losing the 0.1 second in this, I think. Because when you die too, you also fall for like a good 3 seconds. So, but yeah, that skips like a good, like, that level's really long. But the thing is even if you don't do that skip, there's like a skip in the middle section that I did when I played it casually, and I thought I was really smart for finding it, and then I see the speed run and it turns out like, no dude, that's still like 12 seconds slower. Okay, we're gonna try to line up here so that it shoots me up. Oh dang, for some reason that saw blade reaches out just a little bit further than the other ones. So if you are not perfectly lined up, you will you'll die. I think I'm fine here. No, I'm not. Ugh. I don't know if it's true on this level, but there's on at least one level, what happens is that if you get a saw blade bloody, you can no longer do a skip on it. Dang, I missed it. We didn't get the little elevator up. That's so sad. Oh, well.
Just go to twitch.tv/Shredberg. Watch him do it.
True. In just a minute, we're going to have everyone's favorite boss, Larry, which is just like a full RNG boss. There's 3 worms, and we want them all to jump. Technically, only 1 can jump at a time. I'm going to do something where 2 of them can jump on the first phase. I didn't pause in time, so all 3 of those were there when I paused. What you want to do is pause when 1 or 2 worms are on the screen, but not 3. And what happens is each worm sort of sees, it goes through like a logic tree, right? It's like, okay, is there any other worm out there that's going to jump? And if the answer is yes, then it doesn't jump. If not, it's like, ooh, okay, you have a 50-50 chance then, if it's not going to jump, for it to jump. And that gives you on this like a 70 or 25% chance that it jumps. On the first cycle, it's 50-50 though. I don't know why. It's just on the first cycle when nothing's dead, it'll be 50-50. So what you want to do is pause to get 2 of the worms separated so that 1 jumps in the air. Because with what I just described, it looks if a worm is about to jump. It doesn't look to see if a worm is already in the air. So what you can do is you can pause the game, do a timer glitch trick. It finishes the animation for Larry jumping, one of the worms jumping, and that, right when you unpause the game, it'll immediately jump. So right when you unpause the game, if that other worm, even the very next frame, is about to think, it will have that 50-50 chance, because it's not going to know that a worm's not dead and a worm's not about to jump. So it just goes past that first thing in the logic tree, because if a worm is about to jump again, the chance of it jumping is 0. So it's a nice way. It ends up increasing your odds, but didn't get it there. This is End, which is 5 levels long. These levels are also really long, like longer than Rapture even. They all have some pretty fun skips though. Kind of a banger chapter, but especially in all light levels, because when you are in any percent, this is like, the end is titled. But in all light levels, this is not it. We have a bonus, even harder chapter to do afterwards, but here there's going to be a big skip. Let's see. This skip here has been giving me some issues lately. Oh, okay, this is fine. Normally it wants you to go above where I was just at and grab a key, but do a thing called key skip where you go underneath into that platform.
Nice.
Not too precise, but it's been has been giving me a little bit of trouble recently. But this is the final boss. This is Dr. Fetus. He's the one who we have been saving Bandage Girl from. You might ask, what's his deal? He just hates Meat Boy, so he stole his girlfriend, kidnapped his girlfriend, and that's pretty much the story of the game. There's really not that much more to it. Sorry for the spoilers, I guess, but I don't know,
that feels like the Odyssey level storytelling right there. That's top tier.
That's true. That's true.
The drama, the pathos.
That's exactly right.
Of Dr. Fetus, the villain. This game is wild.
Yeah. Although you might see these saw blades coming right for me and be like, isn't that going to run into you and hit you? But I'm standing on top of a button, the ones that got rid of the floor there. And when you're on a button, you have complete invincibility. That's true all across the game, not just on that specific level, but specifically because of that, it lets us do that skip where we go over the top of that moving row of saw blades, or column of saw blades. And here to end the any percent part of it, we go over and get this like dev exit. Essentially what happens is they wants you to go over to the side and go up, and there's this platform that you stand on that has a certain elevation. They just put the end game trigger really well past where you would be standing to trigger that, and so it lets us go across the end and save like 10-12 seconds, which is nice. But this is Cotton Alley. We get to play as Bandage Girl now, and now we're saving Meat Boy.
Yay.
From Dr. Fetus.
Yay.
These levels are, oh gosh, Oh no, we're fine. These levels are tricky, very precise, but very fun, very fast. Light Cotton is my favorite speedrun chapter in the game, just very easily. There are very few auto-scrollers or slow levels. They're all very precise. There's a lot of different strats and tricks. Dang it. It's difficult enough to, have a little bit of stress, Speedrunning is always the best when there's just a little bit of stress, but not so hard that they're not consistent. This one maybe is a little bit inconsistent because it's got these fans, but we're going to get it first try. Pretty easy. No sweat, no worry at all. But yeah, the levels also go and one thing that's interesting is if you look at the backgrounds, like right now, this is a background of a Salt Factory level. The backgrounds actually correspond with the different chapters of the game. And they actually also have the same sort of level design concepts and the same, what are they called? Like enemies, obstacles, things like that. The rockets were introduced in Salt Factory. So this level has Salt Factory stuff.
That's cool.
This one right here is, I guess it's not that similar to a Salt Factory level, but it has Salt Factory stuff. Whoops. I had messed up here. I'm supposed to stop 3 times before I go over to the left. I don't know why. I was just so caught up in describing this very niche detail of the game that I love telling people because I didn't notice it until I had, I don't know, it was probably a year ago that I noticed. And I still have not seen anybody who was like, oh, yeah, I knew that.
I certainly did not. So That's very cool.
Yeah, this is like hell. And really, too, is if you put this and you put the hell background on it, I would be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, for the level design.
But,
that makes sense.
Yeah. That one's like a lava rising level.
And yeah, the eyes
It's
are back.
got the laser eyeball thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd say that they disappear. That one I have never seen disappear. So maybe all of them don't. Or maybe not all of them can disappear is probably the grammatically correct way to say that sentence. But yeah, this category, I feel like this is, to me, it feels like this category takes as long as an any percent run, even though it's like a little bit less than 10 minutes longer. Because we're only like 5 levels away. This is a fun level. People will ask me like for advice on how to get through this level, and that one's my favorite because those orbs are like, there's no other answer other than get good. And I hate being like that, but it really, sometimes that is the only answer. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of levels in this game actually, once you have like a strat, become much easier than you thought that they would be. And 716 and the dark version of it are just not. That's not the case for either of those. Now we're on the last level of the game. This is also the longest level of the run. It's like 40 seconds long. Dang it. This is one where when you're playing it casually, obviously it's very difficult. But the way I describe it is there's nothing in this level that is actually all that difficult. It is just that it is 40 seconds to allow you to mess up. The end does have, it is tricky, and you'll see why in a second, but it's not hard. It's just, Anyways, that little tight one, because you don't have very much room to jump. You immediately bonk your head and it sends you back down. So you got to be pretty close to them, but... All right, we're going to be in time in just a second here, and that is time.
GG.
That's a pretty good run.
Yeah.
Thank you for the GG. That's how it ends. It ends a little bit anticlimactically, so, but we get to do Cotton Alley, which I love. But yeah, thanks for having me. If you enjoyed this run and you make sure to go to twitch.tv/Shredberg, give me a follow. I'm probably going to be going back to trying to do 106, which is the full game of this Deathless. Need to go back to that. I really want to. I got to 3 deaths, and really I can get much closer. I can get to 0. It felt like it was like any run, and then I took a little break, but I'm getting back into it. But yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks everyone for hanging out. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, Shredberg. Y'all should definitely go watch and play Meat Boy. It's pretty awesome. And also, 106, you did on Do All the Things, which is a different hotfix show a couple weeks ago.
That's
so go on ahead and go to Games Done Quick on YouTube to go watch that run as well. And while you'll cue that up, we are going to get ready for our final run of the night, which is going to be Cult of the Lamb by Clockwork Ophelia. But the category is yet to be decided. In fact, you all are going to be making that choice because we're going to have a poll open between easy and medium. Easy, of course, gives our runner a little bit of a break and is the category she's most familiar with. But medium is the category that Clockwork Ophelia does have the world record in. So if you want to see the runner have a little bit of a harder time and do the world record category, you can vote for medium. That poll will be up shortly, and we're going to be back shortly with that. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Creature Corner, the GDQ Hotfix show all about games that feature non-human characters. And today we've got our final game on the lineup. I know, it's been such a fun episode. You can see all of it back on the VOD and on the YouTube in about a week, but you're here right now, live, for Cult of the Lamb by Clockwork Ophelia. And that poll, by the way, did result in medium percent. We're going to be doing that. So thank you for making our runner's life just a little bit harder as we go ahead and get into it. Show us the occult side.
Oh, goodness gracious. Why am I not surprised? Hello, everybody. I am Clockwork Ophelia, and I would personally like to thank Satan for asking me to come on Creature Corner with Cult of the Lamb. I am a fox girl, so I'm always happy to be here on this wonderful Creature Corner. And interestingly enough, as a fox girl, I run a game that has a main character of a lamb, and I just thought about how weird that is.
Oh, yeah, that dynamic, huh?
I never considered that before. Interesting. Anyways, thank you all so much for making my life slightly harder with medium percent. This poll is a bit of a callback to the recent Frost Fatales, where I ran this this category specifically. During that time, I was actually not supposed to run medium percent. I was supposed to run easy. However, every time I marathon and present this run, I always say that the hardest input is actually a singular button press, and it involves selecting easy over medium. In the run, I just decided, hey, I misinputted, but we're going to go. We're going to do this because that's what we do. Mm-hmm. But seeing as we've got this wonderful callback, I am just sitting here on the opening screen because there is a little bit of screen flashes in this game that they added in some of the more recent updates. I've been trying to find a way with the accessibility settings to have it not come because it is a bit of a screen flash and very, very distracting. But it is okay if you're sitting kind of on this new game options. We don't run with any of the new game options, quick start, permadeath, penitence mode. They would actually very much change how the run works. So we just don't. I'm also the only one who's actively running this category. If you would like to come take my times, please do. Please, please, please come take my times. I would love to see some more people running Cult of the Lamb marriage percent. But we've got lots of time to yap as we get through this. So time will start on our acceptance of the thing here. So are we ready, Satan?
We are absolutely ready. Let's go ahead and get married.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, marriage.
Marriage.
Marriage is why we gather here today.
So what is this game all about? What are we doing here?
Cult of the Lamb is a roguelike cult simulator. So you have essentially two things you're doing. You have your roguelike runs, which are where you gather resources, you do some fighting, you're an adorable little fluffy lamb, and the other part of it is you manage a cult. Don't worry about that part. So we're walking forward here, and we're gonna meet with some friends. We're just gonna have a quick little chat that I'm gonna mash through very quickly, and we're gonna take a little nap. Nap time.
I'd love to see our best sleep emotes in chat while we do this.
I would love to see some snooze emotes because we're taking a cute fluffy lamb nap. So this is our new boss. This is the one who waits. And there he gives us a really important question. He asks us if we would like to start a cult. And our two options are yes and absolutely. So there's a very big choice there. This cutscene used to be skippable. Because it is no longer skippable, I will never PB on easy again. It just won't happen. So thank y'all for making sure that I get a PB by making me run medium.
Wow. Chat is just so smart. They knew.
They knew.
I'm seeing those sleep emotes I asked for. Oh, so cute.
Thank you. So this is Ratau. Ratau used to lead a cult as well. And he's kind of gonna, narrate stuff. We're gonna pick up a singular piece of gold. And hopefully that's the only time I open my menu today. Ooh. Okay. So as I said, this is a roguelike. So a lot of this map, well, all of this map is procedurally generated. I have to make the correct choices to route through here as fast as is possible. There was an option of 2 rooms there. I chose correctly, and we got to go through that without doing an extra room. One of the things with Marriage Percent is a lot of this is essentially a tutorial. This is a tutorial on how to play the game. So if you're interested in Cult of the Lamb and you're interested in speedrunning it, try out Marriage Percent. It's an incredibly accessible category. Right there, we're gonna send our first person off to the cult. You just have to do the fight and then send them off because our cult members are also resources. They help us mine, they help us clean up, they help us pray. They're great. They're just like chat.
Just like chat.
Just like chat. Chat, did you know you joined a cult today?
Oh, we have a nice healthy cult here. All of our chat.
Heck yeah. So we selected medium, and we're good. We're gonna come over here and we're gonna indoctrinate our first person in here. And I'm feeling, yes, Sphinx Cat. Perfect.
Ooh, yes.
I love it. So I will just on occasion randomize the variants because I have purchased all of the DLCs for this game. And that means I have all of the follower forms, at least all of the DLC ones. There are ones that you unlock by just going through the game. You find them, you buy them, you battle for them. Kind of like Pokemon, I guess. To be noted, I've never played Pokemon.
Wow. Oopie fact.
Yeah, I've never played Pokemon. So right now, I'm just gathering a little bit of wood, a little bit of stone, and clearing out a little bit of space because we need to put down our cooking pot and we need to cook a meal. And I do have auto cook on, which is a wonderful accessibility feature. Game? Video game?
Earth to video game?
Earth to video game. I'm confused. I collected the berries and I cooked a meal and it did not register. All right. As I said, we're in a tutorial and we're apparently going too fast for the game. I don't know what just happened there. I need to stop presenting this game for GDQ. Every time I do, something happens.
No, we love when something happens. It's never happened before.
That has never happened before.
Let's go.
All right, that was weird. So we are going to start actually doing runs through here. As you can see with our little hub there, the world is divided into 4 different biomes. We only really go through Darkwood in Marriage Percent. Marriage Percent also actually lines up very closely with another category called Leshy Percent, which just takes you through, I want that, through Darkwood to fight the first boss, Leshy. As you saw there, there was a blue heart. Blue hearts are armor. I only have 6 hits I can take. Each of those hearts up there is 2 hits. So very limited health. You get more health in easy percent. That's what makes it a little bit easier. You also hit a little bit harder, so it's easier to kind of go. As you can see, I am hopefully picking the right rooms. At the very least, there's another progression through here. I'm also specifically avoiding one character. That character's name is Clowneck. Clowneck is the dealer of the tarot cards. I will pick up tarot cards if I see them, specifically just because I want the marathon safety of having the buffs that tarot cards apply. But when we meet Clowneck out in the wild, they have this very long cutscene that just kind of, it takes forever, and I don't want to do that. So we're gonna try to avoid them at all costs. Game was nice, it gave me a sword upgrade. I can tell if it's going to be a room with Clowneck by those little stars and planets over there. That indicates that that's where the tarot card dealer is. So we're just going through here. We're kind of grabbing people. For anyone who has played Cult of the Lamb, I'm sure you're probably freaking out because I'm leaving everything behind. I have not picked up any of the gold, which is really interesting because we were actively sent in here to get gold because, like any good organized religion, we need money. I'm gonna go a little bit quiet here because I don't want to die. I have a health that this shouldn't be too bad. But again, I am used to running easy. These fights are a little bit harder. And I've had very bad RNG today. We'll take the necklace. That is a useful tool that may help us later. This is the reason I didn't pick up any of the gold from chests that came along as we were going. Satan, that feels ominous.
Ominous is my middle name. I'm loving it.
Satan, ominous isn't herself?
Yeah, that's my full name. Call me by my full name.
I really, really need to know what it was like when your mom would call you when they were angry at you.
Fun facts about my real life name, which I will not say here on stream. It rhymes, including the middle name.
Interesting.
Yes.
Moose.
I don't know what was up with my parents on that one, but there we go.
Moose.
Moose.
I have follower forums that I love. The moose is not actually one of them, but it doesn't come up a lot. So if the moose is going to come up, I'm Canadian. We'll grab the moose.
3 cheers for Canada.
The run is blessed. We got a big base.
Hello, Bingus.
I'm not changing this follower. I'm sorry. The Sphinx Cat is my favorite follower form. They look absolutely ridiculous. Bingus is back, baby.
Woo. Another thing that made me want to do this show that this is really making me think of is I love when games do this sort of aesthetic contrast. And that's one thing I was really excited about with Creature Corner is because there's lots of games that are just cute through and through, and that's fantastic, right? But I love it when you take this sort of like charming, cute character design and aesthetic and kind of put some more sinister themes on it. I think the contrast is just
Cult
very
is so perfect for that. Like,
yes.
it's so adorable. It's so cozy. And then you get into the fights and like the transformations that happen are wild. They go from these adorable, cute little cozy creatures to these terrifying eldritch beings that you're like, I would not want to encounter that in a dark. I still need stones. I'm sorry, I'm gathering resources.
You're good. You're doing great.
Okay, there we go. That's what I needed. Somebody left a poopy. It's very rude of them. That's another thing that you do have to work with in this game is there's a lot of different things that you actually have to manage if you play the game normally. We're not doing that. We just broke the camera. Beautiful. I love it. We are not managing like anything. As you saw in the beginning, I'm going to cook one meal. That's it. I'm sorry, if you're part of the cult, you might be a little hungry. I'm only going to preach one sermon. We don't need to preach. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I probably shouldn't have made 2 binguses. That's going to be hard to identify later.
I like bingus. Double the bingus, double the fun.
Double the bingus, double the fun. I'll clean that up. Okay. Hygiene is something that you have to manage. And one of the things that we have to manage in this speedrun specifically is making sure that we get enough Commandment Stone fragments. Commandment Stone fragments are where a lot of the actual big RNG pinch points in this run is. You are guaranteed 6. You need 9. I don't know about everybody else. If you can do math, those numbers are not quite the same. So I have to find 3 extras around. Now there are definitely ways to do that and to get that armor, but we're just gonna keep moving forward. There are ways to get extras and I may have to do that. But we're going to just hope for some good RNG.
Chat, can we get
This
bless
was
emotes,
not-
potentially?
I would love some bless emotes because we're going to need them. That was not the merchant I wanted to see. I want to see the cat merchant. The cat merchant is beautiful. They give us a free Commandment Stone fragment. That's one of the couple ways that we can get extra Commandment Stone fragments. These are 3 of the guaranteed ones we are given. This is Harrow. Harrow is incredibly friend-shaped. They are kind of the lore keeper of the world. They tell us stories and give us a bit of information on what's going all on. There's a lot of people. It's a tough room. And I will say, if you're part of Satan's community, y'all should make sure that she ends up playing this game at some point.
I do want to. I definitely do. This is high on my list, and it should be on yours, chat, as well. It is
really
adorable.
should. It is a really adorable game. It is a really accessible speed run.
And like all the other games that I featured today on this show, it is an indie game, which means, you know, you're supporting developers that don't have as many resources as sort of bigger game developers do, and you're supporting them with their unique vision, which this game clearly has so much of. I mean, it's just got such identity.
The art in this is so... Your identity is probably the best way to say that. I'm really not liking how this fight is going for me, which is not good because I have a boss fight coming up. Oh, thank you, game. You gave me health. I appreciate that.
Yay! You got this. Let's go. You can do it.
Okay. I want a sword. Why did you give me an axe? So there are a couple different weapons. They usually come up in a specific order when you're doing the run. However, those are your given weapons at the start of the run. Sometimes you'll have... Ow. Sometimes you'll have weapons drop. Ow. Throughout.
You need to focus, don't worry about it.
We're fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
All is well.
Stop it.
You did it!
I did it. We did it. We didn't die.
Yay. Go be.
I don't really need anything specifically, so we're just going to grab stuff. And then as you saw there, that was one of the other places that we are guaranteed to get Commandment Stone Fragment. When we finish a mini boss, we get 1. So we're going to get 3 for our next 3 runs, and we got those 3 from Harrow. Hopefully we find 3 more along the way.
Hopefully. Goatfully, maybe?
Interesting that you bring up the goat.
Is it you? I think it's
I don't even know how to respond to that pun. First off, I'm going to say we are going to first, perfect timing. First off, we're going to put on the Fleece of the Natural because it's my favorite fleece. This was introduced in the Sinful Edition. We are now a naked lamb. However, also the goat.
the goat.
Cult of the Lamb now actually has co-op. It has couch co-op, and you can play as the lamb and the goat.
That is something I didn't even know.
I haven't
Wow.
tried it yet. I have been meaning to.
Sounds awesome.
It
This
really
game seems
is.
like it would lend itself really well to co-op.
I feel like it really does. I haven't seen how it works out, and I play Pizza Possum, which has some incredibly wild split screen co-op. So I'm kind of interested to see how they would do Cult of the Lamb. We're going to continue going. Right there, we declared our first doctrine. Doctrines are how you do certain things in your cult, like rituals, traits, stuff like that. We need to declare doctrines down the Law and Order branch. The first one is choosing between murdering and ascending a follower, and the second one is marriage. I don't know why those two things are together. We're not gonna question it. It's fine. We're just gonna keep going. But one of the things we need is bones. Bones are part of the resources that are required to actually perform rituals, and bones come from bodies. I was gonna make a joke there, but then I'm like, where else would bones come from?
They sure do. You know what?
Oh, that was nice. So, oh, thank you, Cat Merchant. That's nice. So this is the Cat Merchant. This is our RNG friend. Thank you. Okay, there's one of the 3 things we need.
All right. Nice. 1 of 3 down.
One of the 3 down. Ow. I know that the card that I picked up, the tarot card I picked up out of the chest, was a specific one that gives you armor, because I had armor. I've now wasted that armor because this room is full of traps and it's terrible. This is actually very bad. Oh, thank you, game. think it knows I'm running on Hotfix. Because it's given me a lot of help.
Glad the game's cooperating in some way.
Okay, game has said that it is finally time for us to visually see Clowneck, but we're not going to talk to them. We're just going to sneak right past them by skimming along that line, and we're good. This is a guaranteed room. This is actually one of the best places to farm bones in the run, because we have an encounter here that's just going to keep giving us a couple waves.
While we farm some bones, I want to let everybody know that if you're enjoying hanging out with us today and you want to do a little bit more hanging out with us, you can join the official GDQ Discord and add the Hotfix role, where you can keep tabs on upcoming events, talk with staff, like me, and more. Use !Discord and Twitch chat for more info. We would love to see you there.
I can confirm that Satan is a fantastic person to talk to, and you should talk to Satan.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But there's also so many other amazing people who run Hotfix shows and help run Hotfix shows, even, not just front facing, but behind the scenes too. So if you want to find out more
shout
about
outs
Hotfix,
to our producers. Shout outs to Richard.
Shout outs to Richard and to Rail and to Ray. Just incredible
Ray
people.
And Richard and just all of our amazing people backstage.
Mm-hmm. There's so many people who put this show on and who put everything on for GDQ. It's hard to overstate just how big of a team that we all are, and everybody is just so incredible behind the scenes here. So very lucky to be able to just work with such a fantastic team.
So as you saw there, Game, that was smart. Game sent me to Clowneck immediately right again, because it really wants me to have essentially uncovered all of those, I'm gonna, tarot cards, that's the word. I'm gonna have a moment here. We're gonna just...
Yeah, no worries.
I have a dagger for this. This is not fun. Ow.
Nice.
1 HP in a dream.
You did it. I was holding my breath the whole time. Beautiful.
I feel so bad every time I perform poorly because the lamb gets beat up and I feel terrible.
You're doing your best.
Look at him. He's all beat up.
Oh. He'll be okay, I promise. He's pixels.
As soon as we go back to the cult, he's okay. But still, I'm like, Lambert, no. It was actually very close fight. That's
yeah, no, you did.
And Leshy
really well.
have been the ones that have been giving me a hard time. I seem to be just having a weird time with my dash timing recently, getting through some of the bullet hell that is Cult of the Lamb. Okay, this is actually something I didn't get to discuss before. We can only declare one doctrine a day. As you can see up in that top corner there, we have a little timer, little clock that goes around, and we can only declare a doctrine every 24 hours. So I have to just kind of sit here now that I have a full commandment stone. I need to perform a ritual, but I need to make sure that we perform a ritual and declare our next doctrine before we go out on our next run. That way, everything kind of all culminates and we can do everything all at once, marriage, kiss our spouse, and then the run will be done. However, luckily we do have a little bit of a ability to meditate, which is what I'm doing here. It passes time slightly faster. You can't really tell because I think all of my little cultists are working towards the bottom of the map. So you would see that they are like kind of going pretty fast. How much time do I have? Oh, so rude. You would see that they're going like pretty fast on doing their little tasks. That should be good. But okay, we can now declare this doctrine. So we will declare our doctrine, and we will pick our first line down the law and order, and we punish sin or celebrate virtue. And I am a benevolent cult leader, so I always ascend the followers, or I always pick that one just because it's the fastest menuing. That's it.
Not because you're nice.
Yep.
Just because it's fast.
Ritual, Ophelia, ritual. You have to perform a ritual that will not let you leave if you don't do the ritual. I keep forgetting that.
That's all right. Quick recovery.
My brain knew I knew I needed to talk to Ratal, because the other thing is, oh, he's tired. We can get commandment stones through leveling up our followers. There's a couple of ways that we can level up followers. And we'll probably have to do that to get our commandment stones because we have not had the best RNG. My camera is messed up. It's supposed to be nighttime. It's not dark right now. I don't know what's going on. Game's having a little bit of a time. But I'm coming over here. This is completely a safety strat. This is literally just because I am very worried about the RNG of our runs right now. So I'm going to go grab that big gift from the back of Ratau's house. And we're going to go on our next run.
Best of luck.
As you can see, there's been like this little ticker going around every time we've come in here and every time we've... There's no cat merchant. You got jokes today, game. I appreciate you. So, yeah, we're definitely going to need to do some strats, and I'm going to see what we can do about making this run work for us. This is why there is a couple of people who used to run Marriage Percent. I'm only I am the only runner currently. I almost want to Death Orb and start this entire run over. This is terrible. Like, not this entire speed, this...
Right. You do
this
you gotta
run
die
into
to go
Dark
fast.
One. I don't know how I feel. This is very weird. And very bad luck. You know what? I'm gonna just say... I'm gonna say if we die, it's because I was being a gamer.
You're always a gamer. You never have to worry about that.
What? Thanks for the armor. I don't think it's gonna help. I'm sorry. I don't think I've seen that many womps, which is what I call those, in a row in a long time. I don't want to talk to you. He gives us challenges. We don't need to do them in the speed run. It's just one of those where if you see a question mark, it's fastest to take that route because it's usually not a it's usually not a multi-level fight like these full maps are. Oh yeah, we need to talk to Leshy. I don't know how I feel about this run.
You are doing fantastic. I know that the RNG is not being super kind to you.
I'm more.
But-
It's not even the RNG. I'm more confused, because like it's not doing the proper camera stuff. Like the time of day isn't going properly, and it was also not changing the lamb's physical state in response to my damage until I had hit 1 health, which is okay. We just got 2 hearts. Maybe the game wants this run to go.
Okay, come on, game. Let's kick this into high gear. Be nice.
I would say be nice, but it just gave this. What is even happening? So, this is like higher tier enemy is the best way I can describe that. It leaves a poison thing, and it also had a lot more health. Here's the fisherman. I love the fisherman. He's got a nose on the front of his face with a mustache, but his mouth is on the top of his head.
You know, everybody's different, right?
He's just a great fish. Okay, I'll take it. Thank you. Can I have... I'll take this sword. I'll take a slightly better sword. Because we're gonna go and hope maybe the game gives me a random commandment stone. I doubt it's gonna happen because that was the luck I got during the pals. And if that happened twice, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it'd be weird that it happened twice.
We love 2 nickels.
I love 2 nickels. Canada, we call that fine. I'm sorry, I gotta make the bad joke. I'm very confused about what's happening here, and the humor is my coping mechanism.
You're doing well. I'm confused too, to be fair. The game just seems to be existing, doing something
I think
off.
we're going too fast for the game. I think we're just being too much of a speedrunner.
That might be true. That might be true. It might not know what to do with us.
I've had that happen before. Like, I have had it happen where sometimes certain states won't initiate if you go too fast. I don't think that's what's happening here, but it could be. I want to say it is.
Yeah, I'm fine just taking that as our reason.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't mind.
So we're gonna come and we're gonna fight Leshy. I never actually had a chance to discuss this because I think something weird was happening. But at one point we got a distance attack, which is essentially our magic attack. It's very helpful, especially in this fight, because as you can see, Leshy has quite a few of these little ads that he likes to spawn to make life much harder for me. So my favorite spell to come in here is this one that just kind of does a nice big AoE and knocks everybody back. Rude. I have like 2 hits on you. Why'd you have to? There we go. Ooh. Leshy. Technically, if we were running Leshy percent, that would be Leshy percent right there. As I said, a nice, quick, easy, accessible run. Okay. So I need to get two commandment stone fragments. There is definitely a couple of ways I can do that, especially because we defeated Leshy. I was hoping for better RNG, but such is life.
It's a roguelike. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only so much you can do.
Oh, it's, I imagine there's definitely times with like Peggle and stuff like that with your runs that you're going, I really wish you had given me a better setup of those, like, your special pegs and stuff.
Yeah, that has most certainly happened. Although in Peggle, it's much easier to just restart the level.
That would be so nice.
But then you do have to think ahead. It's a whole thing. Anyway, we're not playing Peggle.
Okay, see, you say that, but I've been considering learning how to play Peggle. Hi, Patty.
Peggle is a creature game. I will say that. If you like creatures, Peggle does qualify.
I need y'all to stop talking because I need Yartra to. Hey, friend. Let's. Do you want a blessing? Let's chat. Blessing. Wait a second. When did we get the ability to pet the cats? We used to only be able to pet the dogs. You can pet the cat now.
Yeah.
Oh, yo. Okay, we're gonna give this cat this necklace. So that's one. We're gonna get one of our tablets here. So that's one of the two we need. We're gonna go in here. And I'm going to do not ritual, Ophelia. That's not the right button. Menuing is the bane of my existence. We're going to grab Omnipresence. Omnipresence is something that you can only get once you have a Heart of the Heretic, which is what you get when you defeat a boss. Leshy, Shimura, I'm yapping on the other, Heket. I'm gapping on the other names, but Omnipresence gives you the ability to end a crusade mid-run. So I can stop after I've gotten the resource that I need and come back to the cult. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go back into Darkwood and I'm gonna hope to all heck that the map gives me a top merchant.
All right, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. This seems to be the strat that ends up having to happen a bit more regularly in medium runs. We also have my least favorite weapon here and my least favorite curse. We're starting off strong. Ooh. Had I taken one more step there, we would have been pulled into that cutscene.
Good save.
I used to think that wasn't possible because I was watching somebody do it and I was like, this can't just be as simple as walking along the edge. This cannot be that simple. And yet it was. Please, can I have Cat Merchant? Game's at least being nice and giving me lots of health.
That's the thing that it seems to know how to do today.
Yeah, I'll take it. I will take that. We take those. We're gonna do this again. Because I need a cat merchant. This is literally the only way, unless I can level up another follower, which I might have the gifts for, so we'll try to do that. But,
this is definitely where game knowledge is coming into play.
Mm-hmm. So as you can see, it is the middle of the night. I have to wake these people up, but, it's not, the game is being really, really weird. It should be a lot darker. Like, you can visually tell when it is nighttime.
Huh.
This big gift. Oh, it's a little statue of me.
Hotfix edition. Oh.
Yeah, this one's being really weird. You can also have this necklace. Okay, Here, This might work. We're gonna indoctrinate you. Yeah, I don't usually have runs go this bad. We're gonna set you to
okay.
pray. You're gonna wake up. I don't care that you're grumpy about it. You're gonna come over here. Don't you dare go back to bed. It's time to get up. And we're going to give you a blessing. Should have blessed both of you. Okay, this is... Oh, it did. It gave you a tiny little... Okay, well... Let's go again.
It's okay.
This is why most of the time people run on easy. Easy just seems to give you better RNG for a lot of these things. Also, the trap rooms are a lot less frequent. I've had a lot of rooms with a lot of traps in them this run, which is definitely messing me up a little bit.
You're doing great at reacting. The game is throwing things at you that you didn't even know were possible right now. You're doing a
We've
great
had
job.
quite a few things where I've been a little confused. And I am very sorry to production, because I know people, want to go to bed, that we are probably a little over time, but we're live routing some weirdness.
Yep, it is not your fault. This is just sometimes what happens. Honestly, you know what? Here's my new theory. We got so many new cult members in the form of chat that the game just doesn't even know what to do.
I think you're
Trying
right.
to adjust. Chat, I think we need some help from our cult members. Can you give us some love?
Can we get some love? Can we get some blesses in chat?
You're all part of our cult. You gotta help us.
You need to love your cult leader. Thank you for giving me some help there, game. I didn't want that. Oh, I lied. We saw our menu again.
Oh.
Oh no. Okay. Please, cat merchant. Yay!
Woo!
Cat merchant.
Woohoo!
This just means y'all actually got to see some really interesting rooms that you might not see in a regular run. This is the resource room. It gives you meat.
Yeah.
Yep.
This game you could say is a meat cute.
Oh gosh. No.
I'm sorry.
No. Oh, goodness gracious. No. Okay.
Oh, I'm just not ready for that.
Okay, we got our commandment stone fragments. We can go declare this.
Yay!
It's daytime and people are sleeping. The game does not know what's happening, and neither do I.
We're finding out together. It's all
I was about to freak out because I thought maybe I hadn't declared the first doctrine. That would be what would go on now. Okay, so we have our commandment stone fragments. We have declared wedding over ritualistic murder fight. Don't worry about it. And we're going to get married.
Hey. We're doing it.
You couldn't do that before I had to go on that run? You couldn't give me that level up before? Bingo? Okay, and marriage is why we gather here today. Time will come up on the kiss. I'm gonna kiss the moose. Time.
GG! Yay!
GG's. So that was Cult of the Lamb marriage percent medium, which was a lot more wild than Cult of the Lamb marriage percent easy. If you would like a usually about 30-minute run, please pick up Cult of the Lamb Marriage Percent. It's a really fun run. It's really accessible. If you like this game, it's really cute. It's really, really cozy. Even if you just want to play it casually, I'm a big fan of Cult of the Lamb. They are a fantastic, fantastic game. I'm going to do my shoutouts real quickly because this is Marriage Percent. I would love to shout out my wife, Jo_EXE. She was my comms on Fatales, and it was great. It was absolutely fantastic, and I love her very, very, very much. I want to shout out the Fatales community in general. If you are a woman or femme in speedrunning, please consider reaching out and joining the Fatales community. It is an amazing, amazing community. Same with Lady Arcaders. Lady Arcaders is a bit of a smaller community for ladies in gaming and speedrunning, and if you're interested there, we would love to have you. If you're more interested in watching me, I don't actually do that much speedrunning on stream. I mostly play more FF14 than anyone should play on stream, but I have also recently started Yakuza, and holy heck is that a good game. So if you're interested in watching some of that and watching Kiryu be very, very silly and maybe some disco, stop by in the afternoons Eastern time at Clockwork Ophelia on Twitch TV. And outside of that, Satan, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. I'm so happy about this show specifically. Creature Corner is fantastic for all of our furry little protagonists, and I have a few other games that I might submit, so maybe I'll get to see y'all again sometime soon. But I'm gonna hand it back to Satan. Bye, everybody!
Thank you so much, Clockwork Ophelia. That was wonderful, and oh my goodness, I just can't believe what the game did, and you overcame it, and it was incredible. That's why we love live shows. Anything can happen. And speaking of anything can happen, you know what else can happen? Summer Games Done Quick 2025. It will be live in Minneapolis from July 6th to the 13th, and you can register to attend the event by May 26th. Use !SGDQ in Twitch chat or visit gamesdonequick.com for more information. We would love to see you there. But this is going to be the end of our hell-themed episode here at Creature Corner. Don't worry, Creature Corner will be back in 2 weeks for another show. But if you missed Out of the Box or Creature Corner, stay tuned as we replay both shows after this. And tune in Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern for Do All the Things and Parallel Universe. Thank you all so much for coming to watch the runs. Bye.